Good morning, Raptor fans. Lexiot's here. It is Wednesday, and I'm doing a Wow Wednesday, and I'm talking about today. Last week at FIBA women's basketball, there was a Canada versus Spain game where they had a new kind of floor installed. It is all LED screens, and this technology has been around for a while. It's just I've always wondered about somebody doing what they did. Well, they finally did it. Figured out a way to make those screens a basketball court, and it's actually very interesting idea. There's some real pros to it, but there's also some kind of things that we have to figure out how they would work, as far as whether an LED basketball court could be the standard of the future. Some people are always saying that the old hardwood regular old basketball court will go the way of the rotary phone, that this is going to be the future no matter what, and we should be getting used to it. That at some point there's going to be a generation of players that have always just played on an LED court. I think this is going to happen. Seriously, this is the way the future works. Things happen and they change, and at first you're kind of like, oh, we can't do this, but then people get used to it. And the reason why I think this is going to happen for sure is because of the way that this could be tied in with making money, that they can sell so much ad space on these kind of courts that of course they're all going to do this, y'all. And there may be issues. Now think about it. There could be an issue with the LED courts with the ice in multi-purpose arenas where they share an NHL and an NBA team. How does that convert with it? Or do the screens just come up and off of it just like the regular hardwood would? Would the screens work with the ice underneath it? That's another thing. Or would this only work for a basketball only building? Now, that may be where things get a little kind of messed up as far as how it becomes a standard across the league. I think this is going to happen eventually, somehow, some way, that the technology will fit the problem that I just talked about, and it will happen. Some people are worried that the court will be dangerous. They're worried that the slickness, that maybe the screens are slick, but they don't understand that they really did make the top of the screens very much like a regular basketball court, as far as the friction and everything. It acts just like a real basketball court. It's just the screens are underneath a panel covering, and it's not smooth like you're running on a TV screen. So that's not something to worry about with this situation. It's very, very interesting. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to think about this new development with the new kind of basketball court. To me, it just seems like it's inevitable that, this is something that's really cool and can be utilized in different ways that could be really kind of like great for the game. But also at the same time, it's going to be a little bit of a weird thing. And there's going to be a lot of, traditionalists that are going to reject it, and they're going to say things. Oh, the hardwood's fine. Oh, we don't need this. This is unnecessary. Why do you want to do this? Well, in the '80s, they used to say you'll never see advertisements on NBA players' jerseys. Well, we do now. They are there. So do not ever underestimate the power of corporations to want to spend a bunch of money to either rename a building Scotiabank Arena, or to pay to have a big, huge, crazy graphic come up in the timeout on a game and on the floor of the game, because that's what they're going to do. It won't be during the game. It'll be the kind of thing where like they'll go to timeout, and then all of a sudden there's like a Kellogg's cereal commercial on the floor in the middle of the arena. It's like you don't even need it on the big screen above anymore. You can just put it on the damn floor itself. It's so crazy. It is so weird. But the possibilities are really kind of interesting in some ways. You got to think about, should they turn it on during action or not? Like I've seen last week when they used it in the games, they did not change the screen while they were actually in play. They had it very much set up. And this is the cool thing about it too, is you can customize the court for whoever's playing. Like they could literally have those FIBA games and have Canada play Spain, and then right after that have France play Italy, and they could switch the court to look like what they did was really cool. They put the Canadian flag in the court for when they announced the Canadian players. And then when Spanish players came out, they announced them that way with the Spanish flag on there. It's a customizable court within seconds. So it's like if you're doing a tournament like a FIBA tournament, you can switch it to the next game immediately by just programming it and saying, okay, now do France versus Italy. Boom. And then boom, they're on the court. So that kind of stuff is kind of cool that you can make a customizable court pretty quickly and have all kinds of different interesting court designs. And but basically, I think what they did was they had the court that very much set with the lines and everything for during the game. But when they went to breaks, they would fire that thing up, and it would be making all kinds of colors. And like I said, advertisements would come up on it. They may put on stats. They may be able to put like really big stats. There's, they were using it a lot, obviously when there was an actual play involved, because there's a big question. Wouldn't it be distracting for the players playing on a court like that if it's changing underneath them and stuff like that? Well, I'm already going to predict something like this, that the players are going to get used to having an interactive court, and some of them may actually really enjoy it. And some of them will actually it'll just become part of the game in like 100 years from now, that they're going to have the court being changing around them all the time. And it won't be anything that like even messes with them. It'll be just like, oh yeah, the court is following me. It's underneath me. Cause it may show like a streak where a guy runs down the court or something. And then they take a shot, they hit a three. There may be a little like heat signature that shows the shot on the floor going. And then after they hit it, there's a celebration on the court that says 3-point shot. And then it goes like ring, 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 like a pinball machine. It's that kind of shit. It's really like Running Man. It's really like futuristic kind of Tron kind of like stuff, but it's here and it's real and it's probably inevitable, to be honest. I mean, I know, like I said, there's going to be traditionalists that say we don't want this kind of crap here. But once again, this is what will make it happen. This right here, the ability to get more, corporation message through something like that. They will use that. And they will do it. Now, I'm going to predict this is how they'll start. They maybe, all right, first of all, they're not going to do this in regular NBA arenas yet, because like I said, they're going to have to figure out how to do hockey, basketball arenas in this way. I don't know if it already fits with hockey arenas. I don't know the information on that, but they won't probably have it I don't know. It won't be mainstream. Obviously, not every team's going to get this thing, but I can see them doing this. I can see them getting one court for Vegas and getting this shit together for the in-season tournament, and maybe even having this court at the in-season tournament this year as a tryout. Who knows? I mean, I could see that. That could be the easiest way that they could implement it, is just put it in a non-hockey arena, totally a basketball arena in Vegas, a neutral site, where they're going to come and play this in-season tournament Final Four. They could use this court as making it even more special and making it even more grandiose and big about it. It's like, oh, and we're going to use the new LED court for the in-season tournament. I could see them doing this. I could totally see them doing this. I can't see them installing one in all 30 arenas, but I could see them doing this for a neutral site for an in-season Final Four tournament. I really could. All right, let me check with you guys' comments. Just want to go on a little bit of a rant about this floor, and I want to hear what y'all's opinions are on it, how y'all feel about it, if you think it's a good or a bad thing. What do you think the problems will be? What do you think are cool things are going to be about it? And just let me know. This is a cool subject. And I know it's not totally like it's general basketball, but it is something that could very much affect the Raptors down the road. Could be very, very interesting, All right, let's see who's in first. Mischief. Good morning, Mischief. Good to see you. It's been a little bit. Now that's the coolest glowing blue basketball court I've ever seen. That picture that I used for the stream, it looks like Tron. It really does, like with the glowing kind of lines. And the thing is, you could change the court by quarter. You could have a first quarter court that they play on, and then in the second quarter, it looks like a totally different floor with a different color scheme. They can really set things up in a very interesting, weird way with that kind of technology on this. It's kind of like this technology is the same technology they're using on that sphere in Las Vegas with all those screens all over that thing and what they're doing. It's absolutely insane, the future, what's happening right now. Dana's here. Good morning to Canadian Dana, first in. Good morning, everybody. The court is cool, but how distracting will it be? I wonder if they'll be able to tab it on during games. But like I said, at some certain point, I could see this being like a movie where they had like a future game, like you're watching basketball in like 23rd. I can't say that; that's too soon. 2060 or 2070, and there's like players, and they got their jerseys with all these corporation logos on it, and they're running around on a really highly lit court, just like it's a movie Tron or something like that. And that's just what you work in, is that neon, weird, light, lit up kind of environment that, in some ways, maybe the pressures of a basketball player will change, because part of it will be having to deal with the crazy graphics of the court and that thing. It could even be that, like, listen to this. This is really weird. What if a player is really good and they do signature moves on the court? Like, say Ja Morant does a crazy flying through the air dunk where he flies over people and he throws it down on people. Think about the court graphics that could go with like a very powerful basketball move. It's like it could sense the player doing something, and as they're doing it, it kind of like gives like a visual reverberation around them. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense? It could look really cool. It could look like kind of like a video game, like Street Fighter or something, where you do like a move and all of a sudden these extra graphics come up while you're doing it, like punch, like bonus points, 1,000, 20,000, 40,000, 50,000. It could be like that, where like all of a sudden you're seeing like bonus graphics around players in real time as they're playing. And it could very well be that certain players have signature moves that you kind of like you would like to do in the player versus player fighting game, like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, where you're like all of a sudden, oh, here comes Bradley Beal, he's going to do his signature move, and boom, the graphic is known by people too, and everybody gets crazy and cheers it, because it's kind of like a wrestler's finisher in a wrestling match or something like that. It's like that. I could see that happening. It's really interesting what the possibilities are, how it could be really kind of, in some ways, it could be not fair. You think about all the ways I just talked about on the Coaches Challenge on Sunday, about how teams don't let the replay run and for visiting teams in their home arena to check if they want to do the challenge. Well, in some ways, this floor would open up all kinds of like weird gamemanship that people possibly could do, like screwing around with the court. That may be why they may need to have a rule that the LED court has to be static during actual gameplay. But I think what I was describing earlier just now about graphics around them while they're playing is actually really attractive also, in some ways, to make it look even crazier and weirder and more like a video game. So we'll have to see. It's really interesting. I think it will be distracting at first, but there may be a period of time, like I said, where young players get more and more used to it. They like it and they want to play on it because it looks cool. Because they're like, I just hit a three and the graphics around me are like fire. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see that. So it could very well be that the players now it'll be foreign and weird to them, but in like 20, 30 years, players are used to it, because it's not that it's going to be more mainstream, because obviously the only highest levels of basketball will have this court, but it could very well be over time that a hard court is not the norm. It's an LED court everywhere at some certain point, just because of things. I have no idea, but we'll see how it develops. I mean, we got to kind of like think about what could happen with this. It's a very, very interesting new thing. I think it is distracting, and it will be distracting to people now, but over time, people will be used to it. Trevor J's here. Let's see. Trevor J's got his words of wisdom coming in this morning. Trevor J, what are you saying? A desire changes nothing. A decision changes something, but a determination changes everything. Wow. Motivation. Sure, you could want something, but if you don't do anything about it, nothing's going to change. So you can desire it, you can want it, but you have to really want it. And if you make the decision, yeah, I do want it, well, you still got to do something. You can't just say, I'm going to do it, I want it. Well, you got to actually be determined to go get it, and then you can get it. So this is good words of wisdom this morning. Different levels, work towards that determination and make it happen. Make it so. Yes. Naco the Nachos here. Good to see you, Gerald. How you been, my good friend Gerald? I'd kind of rather have hardwood except for Boston's ugly ass hardwood, would probably get used to it. I think that I'm with you. Like in some ways, traditionalist. I've always been kind of a traditionalist in some ways about the NBA. People talk about the 4 point line. We were talking about it, and like people are like, no way, we can't do that. But they said the same thing about the 3 point line in the 60s. They changed it. They made it happen. It came around and they started using it. It was a change in the game. These things happen. Changes happen in the game. There's the era before the 3 pointer, and there's the era after. Well, there may be an era before the 4 pointer now, and then there'll be the era of the 4 pointer after. Change is inevitable with the NBA, and they're very much changing the NBA really quickly right now with a lot of the new stuff like the play-in games, the in-season tournament. There's all kinds of new innovations. The NBA is not being afraid to just go ahead and try and get them going. So I think this is inevitable. I think that this is a marriage made in heaven in some ways for the NBA and how they like to make money and have corporate sponsors, that they're going to have an LED court somewhere and that they're going to make advertising money and revenue through that court. That it will be the biggest reason why. Right there is the money that can be made. Don't ever underestimate the ability of money to drive people to do things like this. I'm just saying. Now, I'm with you, especially about putting down Boston's home court. Isaac's saying, I'm glad it's FIBA. I don't know if I could handle seeing a court-sized Bitcoin logo. It's pretty good, Isaac. To me, in some ways, this is true. It may be a little overwhelming for some viewers. It's like, I don't want to watch the game. I just want to watch the game. I don't want to watch the court flipping out and being so vibrant and so active and too busy. And some people can't take that kind of stimulation just because it's not that way. But, younger people can because of everything's like this at this point. TikTok, social media, there's everything has bells and whistles and noises and everything around it. It's like a pinball machine. So in some ways I could see it changing like this, partly because the younger generation's overstimulated and that stimulation is continuing to happen. And when I was younger, it was the MTV and quick cuts. And, if you watch old television, it's not as fast paced at you like this. It was really kind of at a good measured pace. A lot of like the content, like commercials and TV. Well, it's not that way anymore. It's like certain things happen in media over the last 30 years that have quickened the pace. They realize people have very short attention spans, and they've made and catered media to feed that short attention span. Well, this court could be like that. Some people may complain it's way too busy. I hate it. And some people may be like, this is really cool. I love all the bells and whistles. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes with that. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, it's going to be very overwhelming to some people for sure. Monique is here. Raptor fan, super fan Monique is here. Good morning, everyone. I thought this was the NBA ID thing. Laugh out loud. I don't know. It's definitely FIBA's the one who's doing it first, but I'll bet you NBA is going to get on it. I'll bet you. And I think it will be, like I said, it'll be at a neutral site for this in-season tournament. It may not be this year. They may not be able to get it together this year, but I'll bet you in the next 3 years, in a neutral site, we'll see an NBA game played on a LED court. I will bet you. It could even be something special like, well, I guess it wouldn't work because these are regular season games. But there's a game that's been announced for the Hawks. And let me see, who's it? The Hawks and the Magic are playing in Mexico City on November the 9th. Since that's a neutral site, they could potentially use the LED court in Mexico City, or the game that's been announced that's going to be played next spring in Paris. And I forget the teams that are playing in that game exactly. But there's a couple international games on the schedule already announced. We have a game already announced for our team already. Mark your calendar, October 17th. The Raptors are playing on a Tuesday, their preseason against Chicago in Chicago at their arena. So we do know one of the preseason games already. The Raptors will be playing October 17th in Chicago at their arena. Preseason game. That's the only date I know of anything. Monique told me the date the other day, and I'm like, okay, we got a Raptors preseason game day. October 17th. It's a Tuesday at Chicago is the game. All right, let's keep going. Trevor J is saying Boston Celtics, Jaylen Brown. It comes player in the NBA, to the biggest player in the NBA, the player with the biggest paycheck in the NBA, basically. Yeah, there's some graphics out where they show like the person who was making the most like 5 years ago was Mike Conley, and he was making less than half of what Jaylen Brown's making on this contract. Some GMs around the league are saying, why is Boston paying the Supermax to their third best player? I think that's insulting. I don't think Jaylen Brown is their third best player on the Celtics. In fact, I think he's their best player. I really don't disagree with their decision to throw this money at him. But it's very interesting, the varied perception of Jaylen Brown around the league. Some people would say, why are the Celtics paying their third or fourth or fifth best player? Who are the four more better players on the Celtics than Jaylen Brown? Like who are these GMs? And they should be fired if they really think that there's four players better than Jaylen Brown on the Celtics. You're ridiculous. Like, you shouldn't be assessing talent if you think that there's four Celtics on that team better than Jaylen Brown. Who are the four Celtics? Seriously, who are the four Celtics that are better than Jaylen Brown? Jason Tatum, okay, we can say that. Who else? Who else? Who are you gonna say? Robert Williams? Robert Williams is better than Jaylen Brown? No. Al Horford, too old. Hello, Marcus Smart's gone. We're not counting him. You gonna count Malcolm Brogdon? You gonna count Derek White? No, Jaylen Brown's better than both of them. Who was saying that Jaylen Brown is like the fourth or fifth best Celtic? You're crazy. You need to be fired as a GM right now. Seriously, it's crazy. Listen, I can't hate on that money. He's getting that money. It is what it is. This is the new NBA. There's going to be very much a very have side of things and a very have not side, which is most of the players. There'll be like two guys on every team that make absolutely all the money, and nobody else makes any money in the NBA at this point. That's the way it's going to be now. That's the way it's going to be. All right. Now, Nako's saying Jaylen ain't worth, hang on, Joe. Jaylen ain't worth that money, but Boston kind of had to. I think he's worth it. I think he is. I don't have any problem with that contract. You know, it's going to be bad things for things going on forward. They're saying that SGA is going to be the first $400 million player, that they're predicting he's going to be the guy that gets the 400 mark first. We'll see. We'll see. It could very much line up like that. I don't think that Jaylen is not worth this. I don't think anybody's worth this kind of money. In fact, I'm a little grossed out by NBA players and how obscene they're lusting for greed and money at this point. Like the way that they're acting about Mupapi or whatever, the soccer player that the Saudis are about to throw $1 billion at almost, is gross. It's like, how much is too much? You know, like LeBron and Draymond, if y'all really want to go play in Saudi Arabia because you're seeing the numbers that you're getting, go fucking go there. Sell out and go fucking work for blood oil motherfuckers over there. Go ahead. Sell out like that, LeBron and Draymond, if you're so intrigued by the money that's getting thrown to soccer stars over there. Yeah, Saudi Arabia, you want to steal the best of the NBA? Go buy all their players. Buy them. They're calling for it. Yeah, they all want to make $1 billion a year. The greed is disgusting. And the amount of money that these guys are getting playing is disgusting also. Now, I get it. These guys are making their share of what the profits are for the league and stuff like that. But it's still gross. It's still really gross. And the fact that now the NBA is more stratified as far as like the haves and have-nots with the new CBA, it's going to be even more gross. This is going to cause a lot of problems in the league. Like, I'm seeing something about like Robert Williams trying to call Jaylen after getting his contract, and he's not answering him. It's like, there's like, oh, now that you're big time, you won't talk to any of us. You know, there's a little bit of a weird kind of divide coming up in the NBA where there's going to be really like superstars that make like 50, 60, 70 million dollars a year, and everybody else on the team's making like 5 million a year. So yeah, you tell me if that's good for the league. I don't think it is. I think they need to find a middle ground still within the CBA contract and how they pay people. There needs to be levels to pay. There can't just be everybody is at the bottom and then there's a select few that are at the top making absolutely the most. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't see that being good. Trevor J saying, good morning, Raptors family. And Dana's saying, I see Space Jam. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. You know, you could make a specialized Space Jam court. If you had the likeness trademark and all that kind of stuff, you could do all kinds of cool Space Jam logos and do all kinds of good graphics. You could even make the Monstars on it or something, or Bugs Bunny and Lola Bunny, you know, graphics running around with the players or something. I don't know. There's a lot of potential and all kinds of creative things you could do with a court like this. It's cool. They do stuff like somebody's at the free throw line, they're shooting free throws, they make it, and then they flash the stats in the lane real quick between the free throw shots. It's stuff like that. They can do all kinds of very, very interesting things. And it really is just what's in your mind and what you think you could do during the game. Maybe they don't do anything during the game. It's officially turned off and just set to be on. So there's no distraction. I'm sure they'll probably make that rule, at least initially. It could be later on. They're like adding on all the bells and whistles that I described earlier. Let's see. Monique saying the NBA money is becoming greedy. Nuts, just nuts. I just don't like it. I mean, what is enough, LeBron? Seriously, you make so much money. And now, like when you guys openly lust for Saudi money on Twitter, it's gross. It looks like you guys cannot be like it's never good enough. And that kind of drive and that kind of attitude about things in this world is what's going to destroy us all. Everybody who thinks that like it's like about being cutthroat and being an absolute winner and like starving everybody else to be the sole survivor, you're fuck. You have a fucking problem, seriously. And there needs to be a little bit more of a redistribution of wealth from the top to everybody, because there's just huge robbers at the very top. And I don't think any of them legitimately got that money the right way. Seriously. People that are billionaires are all fucks and they're criminals. And a lot of them need to fucking get taxed the hell out of all their fucking wealth. Because seriously, even if you tax them in the regular codes, they're still obscenely rich. It's just, when is enough enough? This obsession with greed and money in our culture and society is going to kill us all. We're all going to be fucking dead, and it won't even matter. You can have all the fucking money in the world, but you'll be dead. Good for you. Yeah. Is it worth destroying civilization so you can become a billionaire? You fucks. That's how I feel about this at this point. Greed is not good, Gordon Gekko, fucking Wall Street motherfucker. And that attitude from the 80s has really fucked us up. Going forward, we need to be more holistic and more of a community and looking out for each other and get our priorities straight. The bottom line, imaginary money that everybody has to use the system here is not the fucking way where you should set your morals and your values about how you live your life. If you are valuing and setting all your morals at, I'm going to screw over people to make as much money as possible in this world, you're a fuck and you're a part of the problem, and you need to just fuck right off. Seriously. You'll be the reason why our planet gets heated up and we all fucking die, you fucking pieces of shit. Yeah, sorry, I got a little bit on a tangent there. All right, let's see. Blackhawk's here. Good to see Blackhawk. Good to see you, Neil. Big up, Lex, and the Raptor Freaks. Good to see you, Neil. I'm wondering how you feel about that LED court. It's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, but they're going to have to be really smart about how they implement it and the rules. I don't want to see no weird shit where Boston gets an LED court and all of a sudden it's doing funky things to mess with people's shots in different places and stuff like that. No, they're going to have a rule where they maybe keep that court static when that whistle blows, when the referee starts the game. Iceman's here. Good to see Iceman like Gervin. If the NBA wasn't making money, the players wouldn't be highly paid. The team values continue to rise due to TV deals. What goes up must come down. When will the bubble burst? MJ selling shares, a sign. Interesting. Wow, this is a very interesting take on things from Iceman like Gervin. I think you might be right. At some point, it's not even going to be the bubble that bursts in the NBA, though. It's going to be the bubble that's going to burst in society. The whole fucking society's the bubble. It's not even going to be just the NBA's bubble is going to burst. Our whole fucking culture and society's bubble is going to burst. And there's going to be just a fall of like this decadent, like greedy ass culture that we have. It really is going to get that way. We're going to not learn fast enough. So many people are going to die. Everybody's going to be like, I don't care. I've got money. I'm safe. And then you'll just be like, you'll be fucks too. And you'll probably die too. Just say it. Oh my gosh. But listen, once again, I'm not going to hate on the players for getting big contracts. I'm not upset that Jalen got this contract. It's set to go with the standards of what Iceman's saying. They're making more and more profits. The players need to get their share. If he wasn't getting paid that, it would go all to the owner of the Celtics. And I don't want that. That's for sure. Especially, I want them compensated. The thing that I'm upset about is that LeBron and Draymond make so much money in the NBA, and they look and they see this money in Saudi Arabia, and it's still not, they're like lusting for that even further. I just think it's obscene and gross. Like, dude, when is enough enough? You fucks. Seriously, y'all are not good role models. Y'all are just like fucking greed monsters is what it looks like to me. Seriously, don't openly lust. Like LeBron's posting the Forrest Gump running towards Saudi Arabia to try and get Saudi money in that way. You know what? Go fucking do it, LeBron. Fucking quit the NBA right now and go and take like a huge, like double your money that you're paid by the Lakers. Just leave the league. Go fucking go to Saudi Arabia and go play basketball there with a bunch of scrubs and get paid $1 billion a year. Go ahead, LeBron. It's a free world. You want to do that? Go ahead. Yeah, see what happens. See what happens with your legacy. See what happens with people and how they look at you and their opinions about you. You got to also realize that money that they got in Saudi Arabia isn't exactly clean. No, it's not. And the things that happen with the golf tournaments and the golf league that was started there, Live or whatever, that will be the same kind of shit that you'll have to deal with. The scrutiny of taking blood money from the Saudis, oil money, stupid ass money that's kind of fucked up. Yeah, you go ahead and take that dirty money, LeBron. You lusting for it on Twitter. That's fucked up, man. Seriously, when is enough enough, LeBron? Seriously, when is enough enough? Michael is a very smart guy, Michael Jordan. And the amount of money that he made off of the time while he owned the Hornets is amazing. He like made 4 times his money. So listen, you can say the period of Michael Jordan owning the Charlotte Hornets was an absolute failure. Yeah, they made the playoffs 3 times, didn't win at all, lost way more than they won, had all kinds of failure on the court. But Michael Jordan, huge success as an owner because he did what an owner does. He bought it at a lower price and he sold it for like 4 times that price. So he won still. He still won. Michael won, even though that Charlotte team lost and sucked. The valuation was so much higher when he sold it. He made a huge profit. So, even in that, he's winning. So it's like, it's crazy. It is crazy. And maybe he does know something that we don't know. And he's getting out early. Yeah, Iceman, you might be right. Infamous is saying, salute Raptor Freaks. The Jaylen Brown contract has set the milestone for non-superstar. OG contract will break the bank. See, I don't agree with this. Why are y'all saying Jaylen Brown's not a superstar? It's just because he stands next to Tatum, and Tatum is the designated superstar, number 1 on that team. See, I don't get this. I've always looked at Jason and Jaylen as being very equal, as being not much better than each other, very much the same level of players. So if Jason Tatum is a superstar, Jaylen Brown's a superstar to me. Is Jaylen Brown one of these role players that Mikal Bridges is talking about? No, he's a superstar. This man just got a $300 million contract. So he is a superstar. I don't see him as being not a superstar. In some ways, we can compare OG to Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. He is at that level too. Pascal and OG are not that far off from Jaylen and Jason. If you're going to get a duo in the league, these guys are very similar in their talent and their level of play and where they are. So I guess what am I saying? That OG is a superstar? Yeah, he is on the down low. It's just because the media in the U.S. doesn't perceive him at that level. Well, we do up here. We know the truth about him. We see him play often. We know what he does on both ends of the court. So I say he's a superstar. I say Jaylen's a superstar. I say Jason. I say Pascal's a superstar. These guys are all fucking superstars. And they may all be max players. They may be, seriously. So it's a weird thing. OG's contract will break the bank. Well, we'll see what happens. He's got to be really consistent this year. If he can be very consistent this year, yeah, he should get a good contract in the next one. But if he's still kind of up and down a little, I don't want to, he may not get that. He may not get that. He has to put the work in and show the consistency, and he'll get what he deserves after that. So we'll have to see. He's on a very good contract right now, a real good deal, which I love. And yeah, we're going to have to pay him next time. I know that for sure. Next summer, probably. As above, so below. Warlion is here. I've religiously listened to the game on Fan 590. I can't watch. I get too hyped. Almost 25 years only watched when the radio was smashed. Zach Cooper, old school 590. There you go. He's not going to see the court. He's like, he can't watch it. He's into watching or listening to basketball on the radio. And in some ways, I love that. That's why you love Jonesy. I'll bet. Yeah, you're all about Jones and Smith because those guys are calling the games on the radio. That's cool. In some ways, I think that's pretty cool that you actually listen instead of watching. I mean, that's got to be weird because you have audio memories of great moments instead of like the visual memories of seeing them. Now, do you ever listen to it? And if you feel like, wow, I want to see that dunk, I'm going to go watch the highlight later. Do you do that, Warlion? Because that seems like that would be what I would do if I was listening. I'd be like, wait, I want to see that. Like at some point, I'm going to go after the game and I'm going to go watch that because I want to see that. Yeah. Let's see. David's saying that contract is bonkers. I don't think, I mean, it is what it is. It's going to where it's going. It is a little crazy. It is a little hard to wrap your head around it. He's the highest player in the NBA now, highest paid player in the NBA. And some people would say Jason Tatum's a better player on that team. So what's Jason going to get? We'll have to see. Holy crap. MSJ's here. Chris is saying LED courts now. And Jaylen Brown making that much, it's good the players are benefiting from all the cash rolling into the NBA. That's how I look at it. Tatum is a bit better, but Brown is solid. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not mystified by the Celtics paying him that much money. In some ways, they needed to do this because they're going to lose him. So, I mean, it makes sense. They just want to tie down their two pillars, Brown and Tatum, for sure. The rest of it, they're going to work out somehow, some way, fill it in. But they want to make sure they got those two guys at least. In some ways, are those two guys? I mean, I guess they're young and they're still getting better and better. But in some ways, they have their limits, as I've said. With Marcus Smart gone, Grant Williams gone, those guys were kind of like the dog, like protector kind of guys around them. And in some ways, there's questions about Jaylen and Jason being soft. And you take some of those hard-nosed guys around them on the Celtics franchise out of there this summer. Well, let's see how they look as far as without those guys next to them. Because I wonder about that. I do. Monique is saying that hang on. Seeing what Jaylen got, now I'm worried about what type of extension Siakam is going to receive. We the North. Well, let's not worry about anything. It's like all the rules, everybody's got to play by the same exact rules in the NBA, right? So we just got to have faith and rely on Masai to make the right decisions and balance it all out and figure out the right way to do this. So I have no fear about this. I have complete confidence in the Raptors front office. We're going to navigate all these waters and different things and make these decisions correctly and continue to be an excellent franchise and kick so much ass. David's saying these guys were playing basketball. What are playing basketball? What on earth? Why do they feel so entitled to make all this cash? Give them 20 million and donate the rest to charity. Seriously. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, how much is enough is enough. In some ways it is kind of really like a weird, gross, like dichotomy to the average citizen and what they go through and what they're trying to do with their lives just to struggle to survive. And these guys are like, they get 50 million a year and they're lusting for like $1 billion contracts in Saudi Arabia. It's just not a good look. I mean, I'm not going to tell you guys how to live your lives, but publicly you shouldn't be putting out those kind of vibes. The whole culture of MTV Cribs and get it while all you can and like fucking showing off wealth and glorifying wealth and going and like being greedy and stuff. It's really been one of the worst things in society more and more in the last few decades. That we shouldn't be worshiping wealth like this. We really shouldn't. And we shouldn't be telling people that this is what you got to do, because in a lot of ways, the ways you do this and get to this place is criminal or it's exploitive. And it's not really good, hard work. Like you're doing it yourself. You have to exploit other people to get to that level of wealth, unless you're a super, super talented artist or athlete like these people. A lot of times the people that are making all this money, they're doing fucked up shit to either the environment or to people in general to make that money. And I know I've worked for a lot of different companies in Toronto that have exploited, illegal immigrants that have come here and they're having them work as maids in the big condos here, but they're not even supposed to be in this country. So they pay them like half of what they're supposed to pay, half a minimum wage. See, that's what I'm talking about. A lot of these people are making money off the backs of people that they're exploiting. So this whole like idea of like you should be like lusting for wealth and get it while you can and get as much as you can and get gold teeth and get all this like jewelry and do this, get the cars, get all this. It's really bad for society because it sends the wrong messages. The messages should be about community and helping each other and being together and like being a society instead of being selfish and just accumulating a bunch of bullshit, Let's keep going. David's saying he was absolutely hopeless in the playoffs. Let's give him $250 million. Why not? Well, Jaylen Brown, I'm glad he was hopeless in the playoffs. And well, why are we upset about this as Raptors fans? David, if Houston wants to pay Fred $40 million a year, if Boston wants to pay Jaylen Brown that much a year, so be it. This is good. They're tying up a huge amount of their salary cap into that one guy. And well, if he's not going to make it in certain situations, the playoffs, him and Jason, I'm all for them spending all their capital on these dudes because that means they probably won't ever win a championship and they probably won't ever like do anything successful. So let's let them tie it up. David, this is a good thing for Raptor freaks. Yeah. Name was saying, let's fucking go, you maniacs, all of you. Greedy, greedy, greedy. Yeah, let's see. Exactly. The question is who they stole the money from and how. I know. Seriously. How did you make that money, Sam Walton of the Walmart fame? Tell me how you made all that money. Yeah, Galen Weston. How you make that money? Gouging families, gouging single moms with 3 kids at the grocery store. Yeah, making them pay more just to cover your costs from the pandemic and your bullshit. This has very much been illuminated recently that there's no socialism's bad, right? But socialism for corporations is perfectly fine. The government bails out big corporations when they're in trouble. Oh, help them, but they won't help us. And then, when the corporations fail, you know what they do? They bail them out and they use our money to bail them out. So they get socialism. The corporations are getting socialism, but everybody says socialism's so bad for society and the everyday person. Well, why is it so good for the big corporations where they can get away from taxes? They don't have to pay their fair share. They can cut corners around all kinds of rules to cut costs as far as like bathroom breaks and different things with labor. This is the thing we're talking about here is that there's socialism for corporations, but not for the people. And when they fail, when there's a pandemic and they have costs incurred, they pass it to us. That's what they did. They passed all this shit to us. That's why the grocery prices are high. They're not this bullshit with inflation. No, they lost money during the pandemic because nobody was spending money. They didn't hit targets. So they're trying to come and collect that money in the years after the pandemic to make up for the fucking profits they didn't get in 2020. That's exactly what all these fucking companies are doing. There's a gas company, the grocery, all that shit. It's the same thing. See, they can't lose because they've gamed the system and they gamed it so that they get it off our backs. It's so fucked up. It's really, really messed up. Let's see. MSJ saying, Mupop, I don't know how to say his name. Mbappe? Is that his name? 600 pounds a year. Whoa, so much money. I remember as a Jays fan way back, I thought Manny Lee getting $1 million was nuts. Laugh out loud. And yes, money lust is it, Lex. Corporate Gilded Age. This is going to be the fall of Western Empire. This is another one. You know how Rome fell? Well, we're getting close to that with this shit. You talking about here all the stories of the rich in Rome and how the Roman Empire fell. Well, this motherfucker empire will fall at some point itself, one way or another. Watch. It will. This is getting too obscenely gross and weird with the ends of it. That at some point it's not going to be pretty. Trust me. And I don't even know how it's going to go down or what's going to start it or what's going to happen. But something fucked up is going to happen because things are just egregiously getting worse in certain ways that just aren't right for humanity. Let's see. Infamous is saying, so if LeBron, a bad person, if he makes $1 billion and opens up 100 schools with that money and donated it to the homeless, he's still a bad person, Lex? I don't agree with that line of thinking. You know what it is, Infamous? Okay, if he does that, now I didn't hear him saying he's going to do any of that, but I will say because of his character and what we've seen in the past that he probably would do that. And I think that would be good. But the problem is this, Infamous. He is a role model. And if he's like, listen, he's a role model. Little kids look up to him. Little kids look up to him and they want to be like him. Well, they see LeBron being so lustful for greed and money, they become like him. And we don't need more people like this in society. These megalomaniacs that are just trying to fuck everybody over just to get a buck. And that's what I'm saying in this. That's what it is. He's a role model. And when you exhibit one of the 7 deadly sins, greed, that passes on to young people's mindsets and how they grow up and how they should be. Now, these people are not going to be as talented or athletic as LeBron James, and they will never get to that point. So what do they do to get their money? Maybe they carjack people. Maybe they rob people. Maybe they burglarize houses. That's what I'm saying. So in some ways, it's like, let's not like glorify or put on blast on social media the lust for Saudi money on Twitter, LeBron James. It's a bad look. You're a bad role model for doing that. If you get that contract and you get over there and you do a lot of good with it, so be it. But it still doesn't change where that money came from. That money isn't good money. Seriously, it really isn't. It's at the cost of our planet's health. And also just like there's some fucked up shit that the Saudi government does So it's like, okay, go ahead and take that money from that, weird country that does really fucked up, horrific, barbaric things behind the scenes, like kills like a journalist from Turkey. There's a lot of problems with this. Now, I would say, sure, if LeBron did this from a humanitarian standpoint, took the money and did a whole bunch of good things from it, that would be, I would applaud. But the pure just act of posting it on Twitter and showing that kind of lust, it's not a good role model for young people. It really isn't, because they start thinking that way too, and we don't need that. So, nameless is saying societal collapse. Yeah, some of these are like kind of the canary in the coal mine. It's like, is Jalen Brown's NBA contract or Mbappe's contract a canary in the coal mine, telling us, well, this is maybe near the end of our society because we're seeing fucked up, really crazy, greedy shit all of a sudden. So yeah, Nameless is saying it's repulsive, man. LeBron, you are a sicko and you make my stomach turn. Listen, I just don't like it. It's like, when is enough enough? Seriously, you should be happy with your money. You can make jokes about, oh, I want to run out of the NBA and go over there. Fucking go then. You want that money? They'll pay you that. I mean, they would love to have LeBron James. In fact, they may have already called him. They're like, oh, LeBron, we saw your clip about wanting to run out of the NBA and come to Saudi Arabia. We're going to give you $2 billion a year. I'm there. I'm on a plane. Boom. How's Adam Silver going to feel about that? Seriously, how you going to feel about that, Adam Silver? And LeBron James is all of a sudden playing basketball in Saudi Arabia because he saw even bigger dollar signs over there. That shit could happen. They opened the door for it. Draymond and LeBron lusting after that money. Well, the Saudis, they got the money. They're going to go pay them. And they're going to say, yeah, we want LeBron here. So, yeah, you go ahead, open that door, LeBron. It's like Chris Boucher said, you tell your landlord, I'm kind of thinking about moving out. Well, then they kick you out. Yeah, you're going to say that. You might be going, and you may not even have any chance to stop it at this point. Yeah, I don't know. It is repulsive to me. To me specifically, I mean, I have my own personal like values and things, though. Way I look at society, I want everybody to just be taken care of, have a house over their head, have clothes, have food, just the basics. I don't care about besides getting a yacht or any of this stuff. Just everybody should have the ability to live a livable life without having to fucking be some sort of crazy wage slave that works 4 jobs, 100 hours a week. That's what I'm saying at this point. It's like, listen, we're not living to work. We should be living. And that's the thing that has been robbed from us by greedy ass, crazy billionaires, is they want us, they drive us. That's one reason why, people that are not complying, people that took the money during the pandemic was pissing them off. You're not going to work. We can exploit you for more money. It's that kind of thing that pissed them off when we got served. Because, oh, nobody wants to work anymore. Well, nobody wants to be exploited anymore. That's what's going on at this point. Seriously, it's crazy. Let's see. Blackhawk's saying keeping the court screen static is a good idea. I do doubt the court screen will work in the NBA, where they have to flip the court after games for other events. Sometimes we are having too much tech. Yeah, overstimulation. Is it too much? Too much? But then again, a lot of the old like movies that portray the future, like Back to the Future, Sixth Element, or whatever, the Fifth Element. There's a lot of old like future movies like Blade Runner, and they show like the world we live in, like with hyper advertisements and hologram advertisements and different stuff. I think the LED court is like another kind of thing like that. And that it's inevitable. Like there's a commercialization of everything at some point that, they're going to put stickers all over stock cars and stock car racing. They're going to put a little emblem on an NBA jersey. Well, for sure, they're going to do the court at some point. They will, especially if they can, think about this in baseball. They have the boards out in the outfield and they flip. Like they want to get so much revenue money. They'll have the board change during the game. Well, they're going to want to do that with the court. Any way to maximize profits from advertising, they will do it. They will do it. Do not doubt the NBA that they will do the LED court just for advertising revenue, for sure. Yeah, but they will definitely, I think they will have to keep it static during the game. I really do think that. And the other thing is, it's cool. They could change the court. Like if we had it at Scotiabank, they don't have to pull up the floor to put the Welcome Toronto court on there. That black court, they just have a program. They say, okay, put Welcome Toronto on there. Okay, put old school Raptors purple dinosaurs court on there. And it's like they don't have to move the pieces. They don't have to have multiple storage for multiple courts, that they may have different looks for our team. That's another thing that's kind of interesting about it. is that it may save space and they don't need all these courts. They could leave them in Vegas in a ballroom instead. I don't know. All right, let's see. MSJ saying the Pistons owner made his money off of the private prison system. Laugh out loud. But Lex, we aren't all going to die. In reality, the life of a person on this planet on average has never been better by all metrics. Yeah, I know that. I studied this. This is actually my expertise, mortality. In grad school, I studied mortality and life expectancy. And you're exactly right. We're living longer in certain ways, but in some ways, that's not going to matter. What I'm saying is, with climate change, and Chris, I don't know if you were here the day I talked about this specifically. If we get to a couple more degrees hotter on average around the world, people will die of heat stroke like a mass in masses. Like if we actually keep going in the direction we're going with the heat going up this summer, and we have even hotter summers to come, we are going to be like battling to stay alive in the middle of the summer. That there's certain point where our human bodies as biological organisms will fucking die because of the heat. And that's what we're talking about. It's like, listen, we may be living longer because we have more technology advances with medicine and different things like that. But there's things that could happen, cataclysm that could happen that will really fuck us all up. And the increasing temperatures of the earth are the thing that looks like it's most likely that we won't be able to control that will do it. And in some ways, people will say, well, you get air conditioning, you get this. There's going to be a huge cost. And it's going to be crazy, a human cost. I'm telling you, it's going to be something weird that happens where like over 1 million people die because of a heat wave, and everybody's going to freak out. And then there may be some correction. Somebody will say, like, we can't have this happen again. We had just had so many people die because of this. It's going to be that kind of shit, Chris. So I'm glad I live in Canada and I'm not living further closer to the equator, because you're more likely to die the closer you are in the hotter places coming up. You can go ahead. And like the other thing is, skin cancer is going to get worse and worse around the world. People that value being out in the sun and getting tans and being like, it's going to be worse because there's going to be less and less protection, and the rays are going to be more stronger with the hotterness. That it's going to be very dangerous for people in that respect. So we could live till 80s, like on average, like the life expectancy is around now, but it won't matter if we're dying because of this crazy heat wave that comes in. And like, just, it's like, in some ways we're kind of like the frog in the boiling pot, and it's just starting to boil up, and we think the water is fine and it just feels nice, but then we don't realize that we're cooked and we're dead. It's that kind of shit, Chris. Seriously. Seriously. Infamous is saying there's nothing wrong with the money. It's what you can do with it. No, there is something wrong with the money. I want to go all the way back. This is just a made up system that shouldn't, in some ways, didn't have to be ever made up. If we went by the way of the people that lived on this continent before any of us came here, the people that originally were here, nobody would own anything. Everybody would be in community and looking out for each other. It's just some greedy ass motherfucker made up the concept of money and trying to be better and all this kind of stuff. And then we've been conditioned to think that this is how human beings as a natural organism are supposed to live. This is not how we're supposed to live, in competition for each other for imaginary money. We're supposed to live as organisms on this planet, just like a bear or a tree would. And that's the fucked up thing. We're so bored and so smart and so creative. We made up some fucking stupid ass system to exploit ourselves. And it's all in like ego, and like, I have to be better than somebody else. So I want to have 2 clamshells over their 1 clamshell. That could have been how it fucking started in the very beginning. That, like, cavemen were like, ugga bugga, we got clay clamshells. Well, I want to have more clamshells than anybody else. It's the ego of that drove this whole fucking idea of this. If we were all actually working together as other organisms do on this planet, we'd have more community and looking out for each other and be stronger as a species in some ways. But no, we don't have that. We have greed, we have individualism, and we have exploitation of each other. And, other species, they're looking out for each other. Look at how elephants treat each other. Look at how, different, like ants, just little basic ants. There's such a community and a hive mind together to work towards a collective to survive. And in some ways, we're going to have to be like that as humans at some point. We're going to have to get together and get like the ants just to survive in this world. If we don't, we'll all die. It's heading that way. This planet is going to get hotter and hotter. And instead of an ice age, it's going to be like a heat age. And a lot of people, unless there's some sort of, you have some ways of protecting yourself in certain ways, super air conditioning or whatever, a lot of people will pass away, and it's not going to be fair. And a lot of it will have to do with economics. It really will. Let's see. Trevor's saying Canada get the W, two in real life, one. Canada, Canada, Canada. Yeah, Canada beat Spain in that FIBA game. And Toby Fournier has been absolutely fantastic for Team Canada in those FIBA games. And we have a bright future with our women's FIBA Canadian team. Very, very excited about it. And I want to see more Toby. Yeah, she was killing it on that LED court. Let's see. Nameless is saying, I think we can all forget about Fred and his contract. The saga is finally over. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it. Fred's moving on. Fred is Fred. Fred's going to do Fred things. Whatever. I don't hate Fred. I'm glad he's, happy and he's got money. I kind of wish he was still here, but in some ways, I'm okay with him be gone too. Chris is saying, Nameless. Thank God for that. Yeah, in some ways, people are very feel relieved that Fred's gone. Let's see. David's saying this whole notion of superstars bullshit. These guys are a fraction better than bench players. They just play more minutes and have the ball more. Is Joel a superstar? Give me strength. I think that Joel's should be a very good center in this league, but in some ways he's not really living up to what he should be. He's just kind of he's meh is the best way for me to say it. Like, he could be so much better. If he was a certain way with himself, mentality wise, he would be way better in this league. But in some ways, he just doesn't have it. I think part of it is in his personality. He's in some ways ignorant. Like, I don't think he's intelligent in certain ways, that he has a big, huge blind spot about like how he could be better in the league. But in some ways, he's got yes men around him and they don't want to tell him how he could be better, the tough words. If somebody could get to him and talk to him in a tough way, I bet you Nick's trying to do it now. And it may be already being rebuffed. Like, Joel's like, I kind of want to go play somewhere else. No, Nick, I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to listen to you. There's some things that he has a blind spot on, and he could be a better player, but he's ignorant to how he could be better. Let's just put it that way. Raps Love saying, I would rather players get money than the owners. I'm with that. And if the players bring it a massive amounts of money, it is what it is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't have any problem with Fred's contract or Jalen's contract. I have problem with the overt lusting of more and more money. And like I never agreed with that show MTV Cribs in a lot of ways. And or like just like kind of the romanticizing of getting like stacks, like these rap videos where guys have like stacks of money and they're using them like phones, and it's like nobody should be putting that on blast for young people to see like that, because in some ways it conditions them to be little fucking greed monsters and just make the problem even worse. It's like get rich or die trying kind of mentality. It's kind of fucked up. In some ways, it's like, don't be out there screwing over people or doing fucked up things just to try and get some money or a bag or like shit like that. Fuck that. Seriously, that's where kids start making bad decisions in their lives and making really horrible life decisions, like, and ending up in jail because of that kind of drive that's shown to them in that kind of way, that kind of lusting of money in that kind of way. It's just really gross to me. I'm really, 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 really gross. But I agree. If the owners are getting a huge amount of money on the backs of the players should be getting their cut. And that's why I have no problem with Jalen's money. It's not that. That's not the issue I have. The issue I have is with LeBron and Draymond lusting for Saudi money openly on Twitter. That is just, it's disgusting. It's just gross. When is enough, you motherfuckers? I mean, seriously, LeBron, you got so much money in the world from endorsements and the NBA and everything. Now you want to go fucking get the Saudis money? You go right fucking ahead. You go ahead and do it. Go and do it and see what happens. See what happens. Infamous is saying, I can name 30 players better than Jalen. He's not a superstar. There are only 4 or 5 superstars: Curry, LeBron, Greek Freak, and Luka. Well, in the old NBA model, there was one for each team. And they really did want to get back to that. That's part of the reason why the CBA is structured the way it is. Every single team had a superstar or a franchise player. And that's kind of, I mean, I'm not going to diss Jalen like this. I think Jalen's just as good as Jason, if not better than Jason. And I think those guys are near the top, in the top 20 of greatest players in the league right now. But I don't know if they're actually in the top 10. Let's just put it that way. How about that, infamous? Can I say that? Like, I would say there's like 30 superstars in the league about that, and these guys are both those superstars. I won't say that there's a superstar in Charlotte. I'll steal their superstar spot and say Boston's got two superstars, but Charlotte doesn't have any. I'm not going to include LaMelo. LaMelo's not a superstar to me, but Jalen and Jason are both superstars. But there's about 30 of them in the league. Siakam's a superstar also, and your guys are all above the Jason for sure, or and Jalen. I think so. Yeah, those five names can be above them for sure. Uh, but yeah, I guess we just look at it in a little bit different ways. Moreline saying, I watched the morning highlights. Okay, so you do watch the morning highlights after watching or after listening to the game on the radio. Let's see where he said that. I watched the morning highlights. Wow, jumped. All right, y'all. Let's do a cutoff now at 10:30, please. I watched the morning highlights. The shot by Kawhi, I did see that. Lots of audio memories from Chuck, and now for the past 10 years, Eric and Paul. It's been a different feel, but it's so fun listening. In some ways, I'm envious of you. Down in Florida, when we used to watch Florida State games, we hated the announcers on TV. So we'd put on the radio announcers, Peter Tom Willis, and those guys for the FSU football games. And so I kind of get like, have you ever tried doing that? You could put the game on visually, but leave your radio guys on and watch it that way. That's what we would do down south because we like the radio announcers better than the TV guys. So we would listen to the radio and watch the game. So it was pretty cool. Raps Love saying Siakam is the same player, if not better. Does 200 million sound that bad? Yeah, I'm not have no problem with us throwing a big bag at Siakam. Seriously. Because in some ways, listen, this is part of it too. Siakam's shown that money's not going to stop him from working harder and harder. He's already gotten a huge bag and he has not lessened. If anything, he's gone more hard at working out and working hard in the offseason. So it's like I have no problem investing huge amount of money in Siakam because I know he's not going to rest on his laurels and become lazy after he gets that money. And that's something you got to worry about with guys these days. Some of these young guys coming up, they just want to get that bag, and once they get it, they're not going to try any harder anymore. And that's what you got to worry about. So investing in a player with that kind of money, you really don't want them to all of a sudden just be kind of lazy. Be like, oh, I made it. I got a $200 million contract in the NBA. I don't have to do nothing now. I'm set. And they're lazy and they coast after that. No, Siakam's not like that. So that's why I said pay him. Pay him. And we need a max guy like him on our team because he is a max guy and he's super, super talented. And he's going to get better with Darko around. Watch. He's going to get better. Let's keep going. G saying players are getting parts of the broadcasting deals now. I think these salaries will get even crazier. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. Once again, they don't put on blast the profits that the owners get for fans to get all up in arms saying, why are these guys making such obscene amounts of money? Well, put on blast what the owners are making. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, I get it. Why don't they do that? Then they can fucking be critical of the owners more. Like, why does the press do that? Oh, is it because the owners own the press and they don't want any fucking news out there about the obscene amount of money they're making, but they'll let the players kind of be ostracized and look bad at and greedy when they're actually the ultimate greedy ones? Those motherfuckers. Where's my articles and derision about the owner of the Pistons for making all of his money off private prisons? He literally makes money off the incarceration of people. Like this dude that bought the Pistons made that money off of the incarceration prison for profit system in the United States. That's just fucked up. Isn't that a fucked up way to make the money? Seriously. Off the misery of people being incarcerated in one of the most highest percentage incarcerated countries in the world. It's like China and the US have the most incarcerated people in the world. Yeah, you'd be real proud of that, US, that you're like China for incarcerating people. That's fucked up. So crazy. And the owner of the Pistons made his money off of that. It is so crazy. All right, let's see. David's saying, agreed, infamous. These guys are too much. Get over yourselves. Raps Love saying, so the Joker is not a star? Come on now. I would put him on that list. Definitely. Well, the Joker to me is number one. For sure. I think he's the number one player in the league right now. He's proven it. He's on top of the hill. He's the champion. He's the MVP of the finals. He was the best player statistically last year. So he is definitely the number one player in the NBA right now. I will give you that. So as above, so below saying KD, Kawhi, Dame, Embiid, there are lots of superstars. Yes, Pascal's a superstar in process. No, I would say he is a superstar. He's been a multiple all-star. He's been all NBA a few times. He's a most improved. He's an NBA champion. He's a guy who can take over a game. It's just that we're trained to not give him credibility because the U.S. doesn't. They don't want to say that he's a superstar or a franchise player, or top player, but that's the U.S. perception. He is. He has been. And it sucks because Raptors fans aren't sure about him being that because of the gaslighting by the U.S. media. And it's not fair because Siakam's on the same level as Jason Tatum for sure. There's been a lot of arguments about who's better, Siakam or Tatum, Siakam or Jalen, Siakam or Bam Adebayo. You start hearing the names that he gets compared to, Donovan Mitchell. You're like, those motherfuckers are top level players in the league. So let Siakam be a superstar and not even one in process. He's already arrived. He's there. Infamous is saying, anyone that's complaining about the money, ask yourself, if your work offered you $1 billion, no one is going to say no. This is fake outrage. Sorry. No, I'm not. You know what? Listen, I'm a little bit weird in some ways, Infamous. I'm a very strange person because I do not value money like other people do. If somebody came to me and asked me to offered me $1 billion, I would have to really understand what this whole situation is. I don't think the system of money is good. I think that it's really fucked up. And in a lot of ways, it's caused a lot of problems in society that we could have avoided if we were more humanistic and worried about ourselves and people than bottom lines. I'm very often said, like, for every single person, you got to take that challenge of it's like either you are for life or for money, because it's ultimately going to get to that. And in some ways, you got to think about it. Every choice you make is either, you're going to, all right, let's say you work for a company that sprays like for bugs. Well, the bugs that you're spraying are going to die and you're going to kill like part of the ecosystem, but you're making money off of it. But in some ways, you're killing the planet. You're killing species. There's going extinct right now, but you're making money off of it. That's great. See, that's what I'm saying. Either at some point, people are going to start having to choose between humans, life on general on the planet, and their own bottom line, because they're in conflict with each other. They very much are. And that's what I look at it. I'm not for money. I'm for life. I'm for humans. I'm here for animal species. I'm for trees. I'm for the natural world. I'm not for some made up monopoly money system that we fucking made up thousands of years ago for some bullshit just to exploit each other. No, we're organisms just like a cat or a dog or a horse or a tree. And we're just supposed to be on this planet and do natural things. We're not supposed to be doing all this shit to each other like we have. No, this is not natural in some ways. This is really fucked up. And you don't know how I'd answer that question. I'd have to hear exactly what this $1 billion had to do with things, and whether I want it or not, I may not want it. Because honestly, like Jay-Z says, more money, more problems. And I may not want the aggravation of it. In fact, somebody gave me $1 billion, I may turn around and give 99% of it away to everything else and try and fix half the problems in the world. And very little of it I would use myself. So, I mean, everybody has a different take on this. And you may say, you're full of shit, Lex. You wouldn't do that. No, because I'm not selfish. And I don't fall into this greed idea that I'm railing against today. I'd be a fucking hypocrite if somebody came to me and said, here's $1 billion, Lex. Okay, I'll take it. Well, I'm going to give 99% of it to everybody else. And I'm not giving it to anybody who doesn't need it. I'm giving it to every single mother out there that's trying to feed a bunch of kids right now. I'm giving it to people that are having their houses foreclosed on. I'm giving it to people that are in jail and they're waiting for a bail bondsman to get them the fuck out. I'm taking that $1 billion and I'm fucking spreading the wealth all fucking around. If somebody gave me that money, that's the difference. That's the difference. It's either you're greedy for yourself and you stockpile a whole bunch of fucking money just for yourself, or you go out and you try and start taking care of people. So I would take that money. All right, I would. But you would be surprised what I'd do with it. Yeah, you would. Nameless is saying what humans are suffering from is mass hypnosis. It's conditioning. It's a life that we never knew anything otherwise. We're born right into it. It's part of the reason why they put us in school, to put us to conform and understand this is just the rules, accept it. This is the way life is supposed to be. But it's not supposed to be this way. They just made it this way so they can exploit people. And that's the thing people got to realize. And it's going to, over time, things are going to change and it's going to fall apart. This gravy train for these motherfuckers, they get too greedy. They know it's all going to come crashing down. There's some billionaires in the States right now that have nightmares about the masses coming to them with torches and fucking taking it back. Seriously, these motherfuckers understand just how dangerous everybody is as a collective, as people. The people decide they want to get shit done, this shit gets done. So if they want a Joan of Arc, or they want a Marie Antoinette, let them eat cake moment, French Revolution kind of shit, we will get there. Seriously, if these greedy motherfuckers don't start checking themselves. And yeah, you billionaires that sit in your house and you have all this shit and you're greedy like this, you should be not sleeping well at night, and you should be worried about people coming for your shit. Seriously. Yeah. All right. Let's see. MSJ saying salary stuff is just not the business of a fan. Yes, it's far too much money for bouncing a ball around, but also as fans, we follow that bouncing ball like freaks, bred in circuses these days. The money is there. It definitely is. And like they said, they're getting more and more popular. They're figuring out more and more ways to make more money off the game. And the game is growing and they are making more profits. So in some ways, it's extremely successful this way. And that's true. The fans are, if we don't watch, then they're not making any money. But we are. We're into it. I do a fucking stream on an NBA team every single morning here. So I get it. I get this part of the whole situation with this. I just don't like when people come down on the players for how much they're making without really realizing the amount of money that the NBA generates, and that piece of the pie is theirs, that should be rightfully theirs. That in the past it wasn't like that. That the owners were exploiting them for sure, and they were paying them very little percentage of what they were actually making for the profits. And that's why the Players Association had to come about and get their rightful share and be very adamant as a union in this situation. Unions they matter, because if that union's not there, the owner will exploit and take all the profits. That is the natural habitat and setting for this kind of situation with corporations and money people, is they will take everything they can to the point that they will squeeze you dry. It's like my landlord in this place next month, I have to pay an extra $75 more a month starting in August. And he has raised my rent every single month I've lived in this house as absolutely the maximum. This motherfucker doesn't need this extra money. I don't need to be paying him more. What has changed? Anything different? No, he has not painted my front porch. He has not done anything to help this place in any kind of way, yet he is still going to raise my rent to the very maximum they can because he's a greedy motherfucker. And not only that, he has like 50 properties here in Leslieville, and he was renting and doing this to all kinds of motherfuckers. Exploitive motherfucking greed is what it is. And I'm sure he's raising the rent to the highest on every single person that he has as a tenant right now. That's what I'm saying. It's a sick world of greed right now. Very, very sick. All right, let's see. Nameless is saying, we have been programmed by all the institutions of society from the time you're born, from your parents, their parents teach them. It's so embedded now, it's impossible to reprogram. Well, that's why in some ways there's going to be a reset. Everybody's joking about the great reset, but see, the great reset will happen because it naturally happens because people are just sick of this shit. And then everything's like, we want change. We don't want it this way. We're going to make it happen. The government is ineffective at being the voice of the people. We will rise up and we will change things ourselves if the government's going to be paid off and they're going to be ineffective at making anything happen. The people will get in the streets. That's why I commend what's happening in France. They're always ahead. These people are smart. They get on it and they revolutionize things quickly. They are not afraid to protest. And I love that about French people. The things that are happening in Paris are what should be happening in more places around the world right now. And that they're kind of the cutting edge of what should be happening in a lot more places. But like Nameless is saying, we're programmed. And in the States, they have different ways to say to us. That Barbie movie, they want everybody to talk about Barbie instead of fucking not being able to feed their kids. Talk about Barbie instead of the social problems. It's that they want distractions. They very much do. David's saying those fucking bread companies have been stealing from us for 25 years and the fucking government fines them $50 million and the fucking government keeps the money. I no longer pay for my hamburger buns. That's what I'm saying. Listen, people that are going into stores and shoplifting right now, I have no problem with y'all right now. Seriously. In some ways, laws, they're not just. They should be broken. And if there's fucked up things going on in society at the top, well, if you're going to steal a little bit at the bottom, I have no problem with you. Because in some ways, if you look at the enormity of what's being stolen at the top, it is way more egregiously gross and awful than like 500 people stealing one loaf of bread from one grocery store across this country. So I have no problem with anybody doing any of that kind of stuff in this day and age of the greed of the Weston family and the fucking grocery store chains in Canada right now. Yeah, you're right. 50 million is a paltry sum for how much they've been railroading us for years, David. Infamous is saying a true superstar is a person that the story of a basketball can't be told without mentioning their name. Amen. I would say maybe that's a legend or an all-time great, but that's tough. There's going to be the superstar. I guess that moniker is kind of different to all of us. And to me, a superstar is just like the best player, or like he's above just a star. He's a superstar, and he's like usually the franchise player. But I get what you're saying. I think of those as kind of legends. You got to talk about basketball. You got to talk about Michael Jordan. You got to talk about LeBron. You got to talk about Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal. Those are legends in some ways. And there's different tiers. There's like legends and superstars, stars, role players, stuff like that. That kind of stuff. David's saying, "Amen." All right, let's see. Mischief is saying by 2027, NBA players will be paid $100 million per year. This is getting ridiculous. Yeah, it is a little ridiculous. It is, but it isn't. Maybe it's just ridiculous how much money the NBA generates. Is that ridiculous? I don't know. I don't even know how they're making all this money this way. It's the TV deals. It really is the TV deals. ESPN and them are paying them so much money just to get the chance to put that out. Chris is saying Jalen did have the price fix. Oh, Galen, yeah, Galen Weston did have the price fixing scheme. Laugh out loud, fucker. Haha. Ah, well, it's called socialism for capitalism, corporatism, near fascism, but they have us distracted on social justice trend at the moment. Laugh out loud. Yeah, the social justice stuff is important in its own area, but they can be separated and they can be dealt with in different ways. People will get outraged because the social justice issues will piss people off. There's a lot of scared parents just because of trans things, and they worry about this and that, and they're all worried about this. And that's a distraction from like them stealing money from us the other way. This is so true that a lot of that kind of stuff is a distraction from them being in our pockets. Cool Cat saying, "Good morning, Rat and Free Crew. NBA industry is a global machine. Players were smart to share in the profits. Teams 51%, players 49%. Players create generational wealth. Team owners can't keep it all." I am totally with this. I have no problem with the players getting their fair share and getting good generational wealth for their families. In a lot of cases, they're doing a lot of really nice things with the money other than just keeping it, like doing what Fred did for Wichita State, the things that LeBron does with schools. All that kind of stuff is really great. And once again, I'm not upset about Jaylen Brown getting his contract. I'm not going to be derisive about this. And Cool Cat, thank you for breaking down the percentages. The owners get 51% of the profits and the players get 49. And well, that's a good chunk. And that's part of the reason why their money's so high. And there's nothing wrong with that. Trevor's saying Jaylen Brown is not better than Pascal. So Pascal should get the same amount of money too. Well, listen, I understand your reasoning with this, Trevor. And I would agree that Pascal is better than Jaylen. But in some ways, do we want this to work against us in this situation? The perception is that Jaylen Brown is way, way better than Pascal around the NBA. But in some ways, this actually favors the Raptors if that perception is the way. So maybe we can pay him less. I mean, that's the way I look at it. We won't want to deal with the worst part of every aspect of it. So if they're going to put him down and say he's not good as a Jaylen, then let's not pay him as much as Jaylen. How about that? I don't know. Let's see. Nameless is saying we need a revolution, baby. Lex, lead this rebellion. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, honestly, in some ways, I feel like my voice is a good voice for just kind of like keeping things real and kind of like cutting through the bullshit. But I don't know if I'm that kind of leader for that. But I will definitely keep speaking my voice of truth and how I, feel that things are going. And, otherwise, I don't know. We'll see how things evolve over time, Nameless. Let's just put it that way. MSJ saying at Cool Cat, the players can invest the money. And if they're smart, they own the NBA one day. Money to the players is good. They put the sweat into the game. I'd love Lowry to own the Raps, a man who loves the game. That would be kind of cool if Kyle Lowry was one of the part owners of the Raptors for sure. Michael Jordan selling his part in the Charlotte Hornets means there's no black owner in the NBA at this point. And that's kind of a messed up thing in itself right there. That kind of shows how institutionalized some things are. yeah, sure, you can get to certain levels. That's why Magic Johnson is so overjoyed right now to become one of the part owners of the Washington Commanders. That, in some ways, that is like a gate that has been torn down to a degree by some of the players like LeBron and Magic Johnson and Michael Jordan to have ownership in sports franchises, that they weren't allowed to be that. It's like if you weren't an old white guy, you couldn't be an owner of a team. And well, they're trying to break that down, but we went back in the wrong direction with Michael selling his part in the team because now there's not a single minority owner in the NBA. I mean, there is a minority owner. I should say the Sacramento Kings owner is Indian, I believe. For the most part, the whole league is very much old white guys owning the teams at this point, and that's kind of a problem in some ways. So let's keep going. I like the Lowry owning part of the Raptors idea, though. That's pretty cool. Infamous is saying, no money is good money, Lex. The journey he has taken to make it to the NBA is inspiration. He has never had any issues off the court and a beautiful family. I think you have a personal bias. I do. I'll admit it, Infamous. I hate LeBronto. I hate LeBron. I've always hated LeBron. I'm a real Raptors fan. I went through those years with LeBron beating us. I hate him from then, of course. But I do like the person. I do like what he's done outside the NBA. But as a player, I hate him. I absolutely detest him, Infamous. I'm not one of these Raptors fans that loves LeBron and is a Raptors fan. I can't do that. I know a lot of Raptors fans that are like that. And I have no problem with it. You go ahead if you want to do that. But I absolutely hate LeBron. I do. I will admit it. And I'm not fair with him, but I am fair in this respect. I do understand what you just said, is he's never had any issues off the court. He has a beautiful family. He's done a lot of philanthropic things, but also to a degree, I don't like his personality. He's too cocky. He has to say he's the king. He has to say he's the greatest. People should be saying that about him, and he shouldn't be saying it himself. Michael Jordan never had to go around and say that stuff. We said it for him. And there's other issues I have with LeBron. He has some blind spots, but for overall, he is a very good person. And he is a very tremendously amazing. The fact that he has not fallen into any pitfalls his whole entire career is absolutely a huge, huge accomplishment. And I am very proud of him for that kind of stuff. But I hate him for pain that he caused the Raptors. And I hate him as a player on the court because in some ways I think he's lazy. And I don't think he's a very good player overall. I think Michael Jordan's way better than him. And that if he had the drive that Michael Jordan had, LeBron would be insanely good if he had the same kind of mentality about things that Michael used to have. But he doesn't. There's certain things about LeBron that will never be like Michael. And that's just how I look at it. I mean, I'll out myself. I am a LeBron hater. And I have been for at least 10 years. So it's not like this is anything new. And I understand some people really love LeBron and they can be a fan of LeBron and be of the team. But to me, I don't like that in some ways because I'm like, dude, he's our enemy. He was our enemy. They fucking clown us with his LeBronto shit. It was true. It was fucked up how we ran into him every year in the playoffs and he put us out. I hated that shit. I absolutely hated it. And I loved seeing Kyle Lowry kick his ass after he went to the Lakers every single time after that. As soon as he went to the Lakers, the Raptors kicked LeBron's ass almost every single time we played them with DeMar and with Kyle. And DeMar even got to get revenge on LeBron a few times. So, that's the way I look at it. I'll be very honest about how I feel about him. Cool Cat saying, I hope Pascal can get paid to minimum of $50 million a year. Teams are owning billions. Happy billionaires have to be shared with players too. NFL players underpaid and health compromised need NBA model. Yeah, the NFL players are definitely getting shafted. And but there's so many of them, and there's certain kind of issues with the NFL that are different than the NBA in certain ways. But yeah, they haven't figured out how to bust through. In a lot of ways, the NBA is the way it is because of Bill Russell. That Bill Russell was the first person who started the union for the players, and that made a big difference. The NFL may be a little behind on this kind of stuff. And Cool Cat's exactly right. The NFL exploits their players. And being an NFL player, your career is much shorter and your pay is much less than that is for some of the other sports. And yeah, I agree with this. And once again, I'm on the player's side. I'm never on the owner's side. Trust me. I want the players to get their fair share. And I don't get upset when I see big numbers for the players because the big numbers would be going to the owners if they weren't. And people would see those numbers and they'd be like, holy shit, they're making a lot of money. And they'd be like, that's great. Good for them. Well, why is it so great that those motherfuckers can make that money? And then you're going to judge somebody like LeBron for making that money. That doesn't make any sense to me. You can judge that Detroit owner that fucking has all those prisons. Judge him before you judge LeBron, who's got a bunch of schools. That's what I'm saying right there. Name is saying Lex going to get defunded by YouTube for being a humanitarian, leading a societal revolution. I know, seriously. That's part of the reason why I want to kind of demonetize my channel. I don't give a shit about you guys giving me money. That'd be great. Like, I love y'all, want to show me love and giving me money, but it's not necessary. In some ways, it's kind of like, I'm like, I kind of feel gross getting money from you guys. It's like, I'm not greedy in any kind of way. Like, most YouTube people aren't here dying to get people to throw money at them. And me, I kind of feel uncomfortable with it. And I'm kind of like, I don't know if, I want you guys to do this. I've actually really seriously considered demonetizing my channel a few times in the last 2 weeks since I monetized it, because in some ways, this isn't what this channel is about, in some ways. And I don't want it to ever become about me making money off this channel in some ways. If I do as a side product, that's great. If y'all feel like that's worth it, I appreciate that. But otherwise, it's not what I'm doing this for. And I don't want anybody to ever get it twisted that that's why I'm doing this for. So I really want to make sure that I don't ever get in that mode where it's like, oh, the money is the most important thing about my YouTube channel. No, that's not what it is. That's not what it is at all. Evelyn's saying, read this. LeBron, greed is bottomless pit, which exhausts the person in an endless effort to satisfy the need without ever reaching satisfaction. Eric Fromm, great comment and quote by Evelyn. That's going to get her a dunk today. Evelyn is getting a dunk. Let's see. Evelyn, are you even on the list? I know Evelyn doesn't comment very often these days. Oh yeah, there she is. She's got her second dunk. I love it. I agree with this. When you get in that mode of more greed, more, it's never enough. And this is why people that are at the absolute top, they could have billions of dollars and they're still miserable in their lives. That's what I'm saying. When is enough enough? And can you just like have a modest life and be like, I'm happy, I'm content, I don't need any more than what I've got? No, these people that have this kind of mindset, they're psychos. They're maniacal. I've seen the meme on Facebook recently is saying if there was a monkey in the wild that took all the bananas from the trees and hoarded them and hid them from all the other monkeys, we would want to study that monkey for why that with monkeys so fucked up in the head. Seriously. But when we do it in humankind, it's like, oh, we should celebrate them and put them on the fucking cover of Forbes. It's the same kind of shit. Like, seriously, if you saw a monkey doing that in the forest, like, why are you not giving any bananas to the other monkeys? They're all dying. You'd think that monkey was a psycho. Well, that's the behavior of these people. It's the same exact behavior. It's just masked and put in a package. Everybody's like supposed to look up to them as heroes. No, they're fucking psychos. And they're fucking the parasites that are fucking bleeding us all dry. And we are all having harder times in our life because of these motherfuckers. So that's the way I look at it. And Evelyn's right. There's no path to pleasure or happiness in the path of greed. It will never be enough. Never, ever will be enough. And that's what LeBron is showing with his tweet saying, oh, I'm going to run to Saudi Arabia. It's never enough, is it, LeBron? It's never enough. And well, I want to live in a life where I'm happy with what I got and I'm grateful for it. And I'm just very pleased to have a roof over my head and food to eat and just people that love me. And that's what should really matter instead of fucking 5 houses and 2 yachts and shit like that. I mean, really, come on. All right, let's keep going. MSJ saying 100%, Lex. If you work 40 hours, you should be able to afford a modest life, be able to buy a Raptors ticket, laugh out loud. But in the past, the only way to get to where you are describing is to God above man. It's crazy. It used to be so like you could do an ordinary job and be a single person and afford a 1-bedroom apartment and have everything okay in your life. But that's not that way anymore. They squeezing us dry left and right. There's like, oh, you have a little bit more disposable income to go to Raptors game. Well, let me raise your rent a little bit, or let me raise your energy prices, or let me raise your groceries. Or, that's just how they're doing it. It's the playbook from all over the place. It's got gas, groceries, it's all different areas, and they're all trying to take even bigger pieces of the pie from us, and we suffer for it. We make crazy decisions like, can I pay my rent or pay my electric? Can I pay my rent or can I feed my kids? That kind of shit is happening right now, and it shouldn't happen that way. If a hardworking person works 40 hours a week, they should be able to pay for everything they need in their life. But no, society isn't that way at this point. No, you can't do that way. You cannot work as a normal person 40 hours and have all your needs met. No, no, you can't. Unless you have some sort of crazy ass job that's paying you really, really well, sure. But for most of the jobs that are out there, the regular jobs, so to speak, you cannot live off of your regular wage. And you have to start working 80 hours a week instead. And it's crazy. And then you're not even living to live, you're living to work. And it's nothing. That's it. Cool Cat saying, don't blame LeBron. Go after the team owners first. LeBron just refused to be manipulated for cheap. The world is burning. Nature will survive. We won't. Cool Cat's right on that. I'm not blaming LeBron. I only don't like that he's lusting for even more money past the money he already makes. It's like, it's annoying to me. It's like, what the fuck? When is enough enough, LeBron? Now you want to go to Saudi Arabia and make that money? Well, go ahead. It's a free world. You want to go to Saudi Arabia, sell out and go do that? You go ahead. You go ahead. See what happens. Wayne's saying, I have a different view, Lex. Overpayment has been happening for a long time to a different strata. Now it's athletes benefiting. Some people have way too much money, and it's okay to overpay athletes. Yeah, I'm with this, Wayne. I'm with this. I don't mind these guys getting overpaid. They have more issues they deal with than ever. Social media, pressure. There's more scrutiny of them than ever. They really are under a microscope. And to have to live that kind of public life where everything is scrutinized by people like me, that is tough. And that they should be compensated fairly for having to make those kind of sacrifices of being a public figure, of maybe getting death threats to your mother. There's all kinds of crazy shit that comes with the NBA life that they getting paid that money is not a big deal to me. No, it isn't. In fact, they got to go through a lot of shit in some ways. So, and these guys are more likely to be charitable and do great social programs and things with that money than some, the billionaires, the people we don't know about that are in the shadows. So, like I said, this is not an indictment of players and them getting paid too much. It's just more an indictment of when is enough as far as the greed with, like, it's not even the NBA. I don't mind them getting the contracts in the NBA. It's really the Saudi Arabia money that is obscene to me in some ways. It's really obscene. If they're going to pay somebody $1 billion to play soccer, $1 billion a year to play soccer, that is fucked up. And why do they have so much of that money? It's exactly what Wayne's saying. Why do these people have that much money to be able to pay him $1 billion just to kick a ball in a kid's game? Seriously. That's where I'm wondering, is like, holy crap, it's all from the gas pumps. Is it from the gas pumps? Is it from everybody filling up their cars every day? And that's how they can turn around and pay that Mbappe guy? Yeah, that may be it. Info was saying, let me clarify my statement there. There's nothing wrong with money. It is love of money that is the problem. It is a biblical principle. Ooh, I like this. All right, I can discern what you're trying to say, Infamous. That we need some sort of mode of, like, interaction for business, that money is a necessary evil just to make transactional things happen. It's the love of money or the greed about it. Okay, I'm glad that you kind of separated them. And I get what you're saying. In some ways, we have to have some sort of system of barter. It's just that it's been perverted into a greedy, fucking crazy thing that it is at this point. I get it. All right. I can get behind this, Infamous. Nameless is saying people are literally dying in India as we speak, 50 plus degrees. Yeah, we're not going to hear about this. This shit is already happening in other parts of the world where these people do not matter to us here as much, as sad as that sounds. So this kind of shit is already starting to happen in certain pockets of the world. And when it starts happening to us on this continent, like a lot of other things, then it's all of a sudden the shit disturbed, like, whoop, whoop, oh shit, people, like 10,000 people died in Arkansas today because they were poor and they didn't have air conditioning, and the heat wave came in and they just wiped them out. 10,000 people one day just died a heat stroke because the temperature rose up and they were in that fucking wet bulb moment, and boom, they just passed. It's that kind of shit. Top saying, Brown, good to see you, Top, by the way. Brown's agent got the best bag he could for him. More power to them. Do I think Brown deserves the highest pay in the league? No. Should there be a redistribution of wealth in this world? Yes. All right, top. Very simple. One of the easiest ways to do this is just to get these motherfuckers to pay their fair share of taxes. If Elon, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, a lot of these guys would just pay their fair share. We would fix a lot of social problems. If these motherfuckers weren't trying to be in the space race and getting their little plane fly up and spend all this money on the spaceship shit, if Elon wasn't trying to fuck around with the little bird, Twitter and buy it and do all this shit, they could have used this money for so many other very, very good things in this world that would have really helped a lot of people. But they don't care about that. They're only feeding their egos and with their money, and that they want to be up in space with William Shatner, or they want to buy Twitter and call it X and do stupid shit for their own ego, little ego games on there, like trolling AOC on there, and like all this dumb stuff. It's all fed by ego, childish shit. And instead, they could be doing really amazing, huge things like eradicating world hunger, but they don't. They'd rather build another fucking spaceship and fuck around like they're little kids and play rocket ship and bullshit like that. That's what I'm saying. These motherfuckers have way too much money. If they're able to make their own NASA program, they motherfucking need to be taxed. And if they get taxed, then that money goes to the right places. Yeah. Nameless is saying the ants, bro. Look at the ants. That's right. These ants will make an ant bridge to survive a flood, to save themselves. They will work together to do whatever they can to fight an existential threat. Will we do that? I don't know if we got the ants mentality at this point. In some ways, the ants will get together if there's an existential threat. Will we? I don't think we will. I think we're too selfish. You see forest fires in Quebec. Were we all running there to put them out? No, we weren't. We're sitting at home and complaining about it instead of fucking going there and helping them. That's what I'm worried about with society is we're too selfish. We need to be more like the Japanese. David's saying getting a cut is making a few million a year for dribbling a goofy little ball around and putting it through the cylinder. Listen, they're basketball players. We love basketball, David. Don't denigrate the teams and the players. We love these guys. And I'm not mad at them. I'm mad at the owners. How about that? Top saying, how does the Brown contract situation impact Siakam? This is a good question. Let's see. Oh, I jumped. Hang on. Let me make sure I get back to where I was. Hang on. Okay, here we go. How does the Brown contract impact Siakam's situation? And Masai's hesitant to sign Pascal to an extension for significantly less than the Brown contract. It says they don't value Pascal as much. I mean, they're going to look at this contract for sure, and they're going to try and get us around that number. And well, if we can do it, let's do it. I have no problem with it. I'm not afraid of a big number being paid by the Raptors to keep a player. That doesn't bother me, and especially if it's Siakam individually as him. Yeah, I would worry about maybe some of the other Raptors and giving them big cash money and them not playing as hard afterwards, but not Siakam. And that's why I say full green light on however much they want to pay him. I have no problem with them paying him as much as he wants. So I see that this does kind of set a standard for Siakam's contract, Jaylen Brown, but we'll have to see exactly how that does work out. Top. Good question, though. Good question. G saying the new CBA is allowing an extra supermax per team. They want teams to be able to retain their own players and not lose them to teams trying to buy super teams after an organization has developed them. It is also forcing teams to expend an X amount of money or they will lose out on revenue sharing, which most teams depend on. Yeah, that's why Houston had to get Fred and overpay him. And yeah, a lot of this stuff is really good. It's not that the CBA is a really bad thing in some ways, but people are already complaining there's going to be no middle class of players. There's either going to be you're very, very rich or you're like most of them and you're very making the minimum. The minimum's still really good, though. Let's just put it that way. The minimum is still pretty good for just an average person. But some of these guys may not be getting paid as much as they would have with the old CBA rules. So it's a little bit weird like that. Cool Cat saying Scotty will be earning $260 million minimum on his rookie extension. Yeah, whatever Scott wants, same thing. I throw these money at them. I have no problem paying these Raptors to get them to stay in Toronto. Wayne's saying, look at it this way, Lex. We want people who agree with us politically to earn money from people not sympathetic to our cause, but not be compromised with their money. They still support social justice. All right, let me read that again because I didn't totally understand it. We want people who agree with us politically to earn money from people not sympathetic to our cause, but not be compromised with their money. They still support you. Okay, see, so you're saying like you want somebody like LeBron to get paid by the Buss family that owns the team, and then they can take that money and put it into good social justice programs. So, like, say the awful Pistons owner pays Cade Cunningham $20 million a year. Well, Cade will turn around and, like, in fact, give some of that money back to the community and do good things with it. Okay, I get that. I like that mechanism too. Is kind of like taking shitty money from prison systems, and maybe you go invest in prevention of people going into the prisons in the first place, which is where the money should be invested anyway, in social programs and education and helping young people stay off the streets and causing trouble out there. Then there wouldn't be the problem of putting them in the prison. But wait, whoa, they make money off the government because the government gives them money to have people in prison. So they got the police going and arresting people on quotas. They say, okay, you need to go arrest 6 black people today and put them in the jail because we need more black people in the jail because we got the funding. We need the funding from the government. So they actually, that's how it perpetuates itself. That's why people get arrested for bullshit charges. The police have been very open about there's certain sides of town and certain cities that they go hunting just to go fuck with people and arrest them on trumped up charges just to keep things coming through the system and revenue coming. That's why it's obscene, the for profit prison system. Is because they're basically giving quotas to the police officers to bring them more people so they can continue to make money. And these people may not have done anything wrong. They may just make up shit. They may even plant drugs on them. They may even just be like, oh, you shouldn't be here. That's a trespass charge. What the fuck? I'm just in a park. Yeah, well, you shouldn't be here. And they take them to jail. It's that kind of shit that feeds this kind of stuff. So if the owner of the Detroit Pistons is making money off this shit, well, if he pays the players, maybe they can put the money into areas that are good for society. I get it, Wayne. I like that. I like that a lot. Let's see. G saying the new rules would allow 2 super max and max rookie extensions. The money would be outrageous, but it's to help teams retain their own drafted and developed players. I think it's great. I think it's great. I like whatever's good for the small markets and hate super teams. I hate super teams. I always thought super teams were the most fucked up thing that happened to the NBA in the last 15 years. Some people love that shit. I hated it. I hated that shit because super teams, first of all, part of the reason why I hated it is because I knew super team would never happen in Toronto. They'd never let a super team happen in Toronto. So why the fuck should I be for super teams? Because super teams are full of shit. Put 3 of the best players on one team in Miami. When Chris Bosh went to a super team, that's when I hated a super team. Like, what the fuck is Bosh doing? This is what a super team is? Fuck super teams. So that's where I got to that. And that's a good example of why we needed this new CBA. Chris Bosh bolting from the Raptors to go and join Dwayne Wade and LeBron James in South Beach. That is an example right there. Bam, 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 bam. All right, let's see. Infamous is saying, I'm not a pocket watcher. It's not about how much money you make. It's what you're willing to negotiate. If you get a raise that you have earned or leave for a higher paying job, is that greed? Shaking my head. Well, all right. All right. I'm not talking about average people. Let's just put it this way. I'm not talking about probably 85% of our population. Like, listen, I get it. The get rich or die trying kind of hustler mentality is good because you need to, generate food on your table and do that stuff. But how is the means of you doing it? Okay, if you're on a low level and you're not doing any crime or not hurting anybody, I have no problem with it. Now, if you're in an industry that hurts the environment and you're making money off of that job and doing it, I kind of have a problem with that, even if you're not making a whole lot of money, because in some ways you're profiting off of the demise of our planet and everybody. Now, the people I'm really talking about are the very, very filthy rich, like the absolutely crazy rich people. And that's the people I'm being more critical of. Most people I'm not talking about today. I'm not talking about like the average everyday family that's just trying to scrap and make means. And, if you get a better job and a raise, go take it and that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the top. I'm talking about the CEOs that have increased their pay to the detriment of all the workers in the job. I'm talking about, like, you look at this strike with the SAG and the writers right now. You look at the CEO of Netflix and what he makes, and you're like, holy shit, how is this justified? That this is just a dude that sits in office and makes this much money. These are the people I'm talking about that have cut the profits all the way into their own personal check, and they're not sharing the wealth with the whole entire organization. And that's why these performers and writers are in the streets picketing right now because of this shit. So it's not. I'm not talking about most people. I'm talking about the very much the 1% and the very top people, the corporate CEOs, the people like that. David's saying they play a game. Well, David, see, I don't get this sometimes. I feel like you're not really a fan of basketball. I get it. Listen, now do bridge players get paid a lot? I know that, Robert Todd does okay with bridge. They pay him a lot of money to go around the country and the world to teach people how to play bridge or to play bridge with him because he has such high ranking. People want to play with Robert. So, I mean, people play games and they get paid professional money for it. It's not a big deal. I mean, we could start getting into that with bridge. Come on, David. Now, Infamous is saying if it was about the money with LeBron, he would have retired when he became a billionaire. But he is one of the hardest workers and plays the right way for the love of the game. Well, I like that, and I like his longevity, and he really has been durable. He has been had such a long career with not very much injury, and that is a testament to why his statistics are the way they are. In some ways, I am not totally a LeBron hater. I see his greatness and what he means to the game, and I will celebrate it with everybody else once he retires. But he's still an active enemy, and that's why I'm going to be a hater. I will be a hater. I was a hater towards Michael Jordan right up until he retired. I was a hater towards Kobe until he retired. It's just the way I am with the very top, ultimate top dog in the league. I hate them. I don't like them. I go for the underdog. I go for the guy who's not celebrated and is deemed the king. I go for the guy who's trying to knock the king down like Dylan Brooks. And that's just the way I am. I've always been that way. I can't go for the top dog. It's too easy to root for Jordan. It's too easy to root for Kobe. It's too easy to root for LeBron. I think it's lazy as a fan. You just want to feel good all the time. I want to go through it the hard way and not have it come to me so easily by rooting for the best player. So that's kind of why I'm the way I am. It's kind of like these guys are the best players. I can't root for them. I want to root for the guys second best who up and comes and beats the best player. How about that? That's kind of how I look at it. Once again, LeBron, the person, fantastic person. Everything he's done with his personal life, I'm cool with it. It's just the court stuff I don't like. And I don't like him being a little bitch and throwing the ball at Scotty in his rookie year either. Let's see. Let's see. Monique is saying cutoff. Thank you, Monique, for putting the cutoff on. Country Kong saying good morning, Raptor Freaks. Good morning, Country Kong. Scotty Barnes, Switch Family 2022. What an interesting conversation. David and Infamous bring up good points. I'll say this. Rewind to summer 2020. We all would have paid a lot for an NBA distraction then. Yeah. Yeah, and we got it. The bubble was kind of like that. When it finally came in the summer, we were all like, yes, we have basketball to watch. We've been sitting in our house so bored and streaming services and stuff, but we want basketball back again. I mean, I hated when we got it just wrenched away from us after that Utah game. All of a sudden the NBA season ended and we were rolling as the Raptors. We were kicking ass. We were doing so good. And then the season just stopped abruptly because of the pandemic. It really hurt. It was like that was part of like the feeling of like loss to me was like all of a sudden we lost the Raptors season and we weren't able to watch games anymore. So I could totally get behind this Country Kong. Seriously, I can. Top saying there are only a few superstars at any one time in the league. Tatum carried his team in the playoffs, hitting series winning shots, as has Butler, Giannis, Braun, Jokic. Pascal is not a superstar. He's a star. I don't agree with this. Siakam's hit huge shots in very important moments. He did in the finals when we're playing against the Warriors. He's hit huge shots at times. You're not giving him enough credit. These guys aren't always perfect. Jason Tatum has been a big failure in the end of games at times also. So if you're going to say Jason Tatum's a superstar, you got to say Siakam is too. Because in a lot of ways, their accomplishments are very similar as far as being clutch late in games. Tatum can disappear and be just as bad in late games. I really blame Pascal's failures at the end of games on Nick. Once again, he tired him out and overused him throughout the whole game. By the end of the game, of course, he's not going to be as good. So I'm hoping a better outcome this year. And maybe it'll be a whole different kind of perception you have of Pascal at end game situations and clutch stuff this season. I'm really hoping for that. Trevor's saying people don't understand these NBA owners made money 5 years back off profit. So what they're giving these players is pocket change. Yeah, they get theirs already. They don't do anything unless they really can do it. This is how these business guys think. They really want to make sure they're in a surplus before they get in. They don't want to get anywhere near in bad shape. So this is very true what Trevor's saying. That this money's they've earned this. They got this. They were sitting on this. In some ways to own an NBA team, you have to be a billionaire. And in some ways, people say you shouldn't have any billionaires that exist, that it's an obscene amount of money that no one single person should have as their net worth. And that may be part of the problem is, everybody talks about a cap on earnings in the NBA. I think there maybe needs to be a cap just in our earnings in general in society. And that, maybe when you get to just below $1 billion, you got to stop. No, you got it. You got, how much more do you fucking need at this point? We're going to take everything else you got above this. You get this amount, and after that, it's all going back into the government and to the people in general for tax money to be spent on programs. Because seriously, can we put a hard cap on society for how much people be like, you're a fucking totalitarian dictator. You're against freedom. If you aren't going to let us get us $2 billion, what, you fucking need $2 billion? Seriously, can we hard cap society and say this is the amount of money you can get at the very top, and everything over that is getting brought back right into the government's coffers and got back into investment into society and in programs for people? That's what we want. I mean, that seems like a very easy way to start fixing things. Hard cap the salary cap on society, just like they're trying to do the NBA players. All right, let's keep going. G saying Tatum also has the most turnovers in playoff history. He has similar efficiency as Pascal. See, I was just saying that. G, once again, mirroring me. Tatum has had more help. Sixth man of the year was a huge help off the bench. Yeah, in a lot of ways, this is true. And I totally agree with G here. Randolph saying, beloved Raptor freaks, most informative gang, good morning. What a joy to be in this space with positive folks like you. Thank you all for being such a blessing to my day. Thank you, Randolph. Oh my gosh. I appreciate touching base with feeling blessings and talking about blessings whenever you come in and comment on a daily basis. It is kind of like a little check for me to realize gratitude once again and talk about feeling blessed in life. And you really are making that happen for me, Randolph, yourself, just by doing what you do on this channel. I really appreciate you, seriously. Shir Khan saying, good morning, Raptor Freak family. Busy at work, but I just wanted to pop in and say hi. I'm happy for Brown getting the bag, but my concern is the same as Lex. What constitutes a max contract player? You know, they want to hard cap the league. They really do. They're working towards this. We'll have to figure it out. David's saying nothing, basically. And Shir Khan saying, if all NBA team guys get the bag, then the bag for lower level players becomes smaller and smaller till all they get is minimums. I know that's what a lot of players are worried about. This is what Austin Rivers is talking about this week, that a lot of mid-level guys that would have gotten mid-level pay are getting minimum pay because of the ballooning top contracts. Shir Khan saying, LeBron James is the greatest complete player and will remain at a number 2 on my list. But MJ had the drive, like you said, Lex, had to go through tougher competition. Three-peats are not easy, especially in the 90s. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, I don't like comparing Michael to LeBron. They're totally different eras, and people are right. And it really shouldn't be like a LeBron versus Michael thing. But it is really kind of a debate that a lot of people enjoy kind of doing. But in some ways, they're both very great on their own in their own eras. And it's not really right or good to do. Now, Stunted Growth yesterday came out with a new Stunted Growth on Michael Jordan. And everybody's like, why would he do a Stunted Growth on Michael Jordan? He's amazing. But if you actually think about it, you know, Jordan did have some stunting to his growth. I mean, he did lead the league for a couple years to try and play baseball after his father died. And that did stunt his growth as far as his stats for his career because he left in the middle of his prime and was not playing in the NBA for a few years in the middle of the 90s. So that Stunted Growth is very interesting. I love that channel. Check out Stunted Growth on YouTube. They talk about NBA players and why they do not fulfill their possible potential, their absolute potential, and why. And all the cautionary tales are very interesting, whether it's like they were too egotistical and thought they were better than they were and they got sent out of the league, whether it was they got hurt, whether it was they were in the wrong team when they got drafted and that ruined their development. Very, very good channel, Stunted Growth on YouTube. Check it out. And they done one on Michael Jordan yesterday. And you're like, Stunted Growth, Michael Jordan? Does that make any sense? Well, yeah. There were a couple of things that happened to him that did stunt his growth. And he could have been even greater if he hadn't taken 2 years off to go play for the Birmingham Barons. You know, it's really crazy. But I love that. I love that, Shir Khan. You are giving greatness to both of the two greatest icons, honestly, in the history of the NBA, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Now, some of you may come in and argue, well, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, come on now. And I'm like, it's kind of LeBron and Michael is kind of who it is. Mischief saying Bronny James had a cardiac arrest at 18. This is insane. Now, all right, I don't want to be this guy, but in some ways, I'm worried about this. Like, this kind of stuff at a young age maybe has to do with something. Now, I know LeBron's very anti like drugs and drinking and all kinds of stuff. I don't know if he's anti drinking, but I know he's anti drugs and he's very much taking care of himself. But, his son could be like, he's lived a fast, charmed life his whole life. His father having incredible amounts of money. He could be around circles that aren't too good for him. I don't want to imply that Bronny's doing any cocaine, but this is the kind of shit that kind of leads to like this is a little warning sign. I have no idea why he had that heart problem the other day. But when somebody's so young and this kind of thing happening, unless he has a issue like from his body just naturally, that this is most likely what it is. And I don't want to bring that up, but it's the first thing that smacked me was this dude may have been up all night doing cocaine the night before, and then he went to practice and he had a heart attack. And now, I can say that's just conjecture. That's just me fucking windowsing and stuff like that. But it is a little weird. It is a little weird. I hope it isn't that. And I won't say that I know that that's it. But to me, in my past knowing things, that this is usually what this is. You can look at Len Bias and understand that that's what it was very much. And so I worry for Bronny. I hope that he is not doing any drugs and that's why this happened. And I hope that it isn't just like a natural thing about his body that he has a heart condition either. I just want him to get well and get drafted and get in the NBA. That's all I want. I want him to be okay. Let's see. Cool Cat saying, don't demonetize your channel. If you wish, hang on. Let me see. It jumped, of course. Where's Cool Cat? Cool Cat is the next one. Oh, wait. I jumped too far ahead. Okay, there it is. Don't demonetize your channel. If you wish, you can donate proceeds to causes you like. It's also a tax strategy. Yeah, I'm going to actually talk to my accountant after I get off the stream today. And I'm going to talk to him about these kind of things as far as like how I set this up with my taxes for this channel and different things like that. I'm actually going to talk to him today about this kind of stuff. No, I probably won't demonetize it, but I've had to really grapple with it. I've really not just jumped into it and said, "Oh, this is great." I'm really thinking about everything about it, good and bad. It's just the way I am. Trevor's saying, as the Bible says, a rich man will not enter to the kingdom of heaven. Yeah, you can't take it with you. You go ahead and get all this money in the world, Jeff Bezos. You ain't gonna take it with you. No, you won't. You will not take it with you. That's the thing. Let's see. Name is saying lost track of time. We need AI to manage your chat cutoff, Lex. We don't need Allen Iverson to manage it. Oh, I know what you mean. Ha ha ha. Monique saying, even though Jake Weinbach reported Edmund Summer, I don't see it happening. Jeff was at Raptors Basketball Academy yesterday. Yeah, Monique, these like little deals, like you were reporting to us a speculative story that has nothing to do with the Raptors concretely. Basically, that article said that there's a list of teams that is possible for Edmund Sumner to be on, and we were just one of 5 teams. That's not news. That is a rumor. It's speculation, and until Sumner actually does something, I won't report on it here. That's I want to kind of draw the line here. It's like some of the stuff that you bring me is like I don't care. I don't want to hear about it because it's not really important. And this is not important at this point because this guy has not made a decision. All it is we're on a list of like 5 teams that we could possibly get him. And until we get him, I don't care. I don't care. It's not worth talking about. David's saying if the TV deals are so baller, we can throw cash at everyone. Why not reduce ticket prices? David, yes. Yes. And yes. That makes logical sense to me for sure. And then the other thing about that also is like, well, that makes sense. If they're making so much fucking money, that's what I'm saying. The model is greed. The model is greed in every single thing. Every little bit you can squeeze out of it, they will do. And that's what's going to be the demise of things in the end. Watch. Seymour saying, all bet on yourself taught me was get your bag and no need to be loyal. Just joking. I mean, that's not far off, Seymour. Seriously. And people are saying this about Fred now. Bet on yourself? Well, he did. He bet on himself and he got the bag. And it wasn't about loyalty. It wasn't about a lot of different things. Fred did sell his soul for the devil. in some ways. He got that money. Good for him. And it's going to be mean good things for his family forever. And that's great. I like that. But in some ways, he's not in a better place with his team. All right, let me do this real quick. NBA has a power rankings out this morning, and I think that they're doing this on purpose. They put us below Houston because they just feel like they should. And they have us ranked 25 out of 30 teams. They think we're going to be the 25th best team this year. And I hate this. They've got us below some really crazy teams. All right, these are the teams below us. They've got the Pistons at 30, Washington at 29, Portland at 28, Charlotte at 27, and then the Spurs at 26. First of all, the Spurs and the Raptors are both too low. The Raptors at 25. And this is what they say in the writing. They said the Raptors, this is Tim Bontemps. The Raptors saw their team leader, Fred VanVleet, depart in free agency for a deal worth $40 million per year. Is the latest example of Mr. Bet on yourself having that strategy pay off for him, though it left the Raptors in a lurch. Toronto's pick to replace him, Dennis Schroeder, is not the same level of player, and the Raptors are going to be even more shooting challenged this year than they were last year. I don't believe that. You saying we're going to be more shooting challenged this year than last year? I think we're going to be better at shooting this year because we have a better coach for shooting, and we're going to have a better system, and we got rid of one of our most inefficient shooters. So, yeah, Tim Bontemps, hold your breath. And, yeah, it's insulting that you guys have us ranked below the Rockets. First of all, the Rockets are at 24, just above us. Fuck that. We're going to be better than the Rockets this year. You got us below the Magic. You guys below the Bulls. You guys below the Pacers. You guys below this Jazz. You guys below the Nets. You guys below the Hawks. I don't even understand how the Hawks are in 18. You think the Hawks are the 18th best team in the league? You're fucking crazy. Yeah, it's ridiculous how low they have us on this list. The Thunder at 15, just because Chet's showing up. You're going to give Chet that bump, but you won't get Victor that bump? There's something fishy about that. I'm going to tell you right now. Yeah, the NBA power rankings came out this morning. They're bullshit. They got the Raptors at 25. Very, very much bullshit. Yeah. David's saying, I'm not a basketball fan. I can hardly stomach it. The flopping, the officiating, it's pathetic and disgusting. I'm a Raptors fan. Okay, David's like me in this way. David's saying also, basketball used to be awesome before it became all about the money. These kids don't love the game. They just complain until they get the bag. I can't argue with that too much. Wayne saying, LeBron lusting after Middle East money is discerning, really. Privately, yes, but not on blast. Funny, though, I don't think LeBron would do it. He strives for competition. It's lacking there. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, this is the thing. Go ahead and do that in private. Make the jokes. Maybe you have a little like inner circle where you can post stuff and only like 5 people see it that you care. But don't put that out publicly, because in some ways you're doing a disservice to the world in general by doing that, LeBron. You really are in some ways. Shane saying, good morning. I have always been of the belief to put a serious luxury tax on estates over a certain amount of dollars. A lot of idiots inherit serious dollars. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I get that. And it has to be a pretty high threshold. I don't want this dealing with average people. I don't think that average people, this should be taxed on these kind of things, but the very high ones, yes. And yes. In some ways, for sure. Nameless is saying, Lex, man, you got to campaign against Jagmeet Singh. You would crush these guys. They have not done enough of the right drugs to compete with you. Facts. I love Singh. I think he's great. He's somebody I fully endorse, and I really like the guy. So I wouldn't go up against him. I'd join forces with him and help him. I am NDP, so it is my actual party. So I don't know. I've thought about this at times. I mean, in some ways, I am a good communicator, and I am somebody who can really kind of put things in a perspective that's easy to make an argument and get people behind. But also at the same times, I don't know if I want this headache in some ways. I don't know what this is. In some ways, maybe I should get into this. I don't know. We'll see how things evolve. Who knows? Maybe there is something weird down the road for me in this kind of stuff. But for right now, I have no plans with this. If I can help the situation in the world in any kind of way, politically or whatever, I will. But in some ways, I kind of don't even want to get into that arena. In some ways, I'm not cut out for it because I probably piss people off. I do have skeletons in my closet that could very well be put on blast and will absolutely make people not want to vote for me. I am not a perfect person. I have a very serious, crazy past. And politics probably wouldn't be good for me just because they would dig up all my shit and people would put it out on blast. And, it's not that I'm scared of that happening. I would own up to my mistakes. It's just that I probably wouldn't be the best candidate because of those issues. Let's just put it that way. Seymour saying, I'm taking Robert Ory over LeBron, my opinion. Okay, all right. And Jason's questioning, bro. And it's nothing. Solid, dude. All right, I like this. New names just coming in with non sequitur comments here. Yeah, we got a little political today, Jason. We do this sometimes. It's hard not to be political in today's world. If you're not political in some ways, you better get with it because everything is important to kind of deal with right now. Solid. I like that. It's nothing. Every day, 9:30 a.m. talking Raptors. We're gonna finish up real soon. I got Adriana over here right now, so I want to finish up. Nameless is saying, bro, which organization in their right mindset are going to offer Bronny a multi-million-dollar contract now? He might as well retire because he's going to be playing for scraps at this point. I know this is a big deal. They're really going to have to go over him and figure out what is going on with him and get his health test right. Yep. I was thinking about this myself, but like really, that's not the most important thing in here. The most important thing is the young man's health first and foremost. Seymour saying Bronny better not turn into Daryl Strawberry of basketball. Yeah, seriously, you don't want to be messing with that stuff, especially with fentanyl and different things like that. No, you don't. You do not want to be like the Phoenix Suns in the late 70s. You do not. No, you don't. Nameless is saying teams are not going to risk guaranteeing this man multiple millions of dollars if they think he's got some genetic tick. Yeah, I'm worried for him. I want him to be healthy and strong and be fine and be able to play. But with the history in the NBA of some players dropping dead on the court, we don't want to see this happen to LeBron James' son, of all people. Shir Khan saying, here's my view on contracts and negotiation. There are some issues with public funding when it comes to building arenas, but for the most part, Brown's cash is coming from the owners and they're okay with it. Yeah, and it should be fine. He should be getting that money. I have no problem with it. I'm not dissing the contract that Jalen got. I am not doing that at all. Wayne's saying that power ranking is based on gambling matrix, which is designed to make people take people's money. Raptors are a good bet to beat a lot of teams, so there's money to be made on betting the Raptors to win. This is so true, Wayne. In fact, I tell Raptors fans, make money off your team. Bet for us. Just like Fred said, bet on yourself, bet on our team, and we will make money. Because in some ways, they game it for us to make money off of it. They undervalue us so much. It's so awesome. All right, let me do a real quick Instagram check, and we'll get out of here. I appreciate y'all for putting up with me in the politics today. Mr. New York City has got a statement for all of us today on his Instagram. Respect is earned. Honesty is appreciated. Love is gained and loyalty is returned. I love that, Marquise. You keep going. It was Thad Young Jr.'s birthday this weekend, and he had some really cool cakes. It looks like there was some sort of like red shoe cake. And Thaddeus Young Jr., man, he's coming up. He's growing really fast, first of all. Like that dude has sprung up just in the couple of years that Thad has been on the Raptors. Thad Young Jr. is like getting up there in height. And I have a very strong suspicion that Thaddeus Young Jr. is going to be an NBA player someday. I really, really do. And there they are at the arcade taking shots on the hoops. And Thad's shooting them with the left. And I think he was even playing two machines at once. It's kind of funny, Thad Young playing the video game. David Johnson's at Freedom Hall watching basketball. I'm not sure who was playing at Freedom Hall, but good to see David still active on Instagram in some sort of ways. Siakam had a new campaign come out. He's showing monochrome in Salzburg, Austria, with his Red Bull family. Really nice pictures of him with Christian Siakam wearing the Raptors 905 shirt. And this is the thing. If Siakam is in Salzburg, Austria, putting in work at a Red Bull facility, like he's saying he is, well, Jim Sand's with him there. There's a picture of him there with him, rebounding for him and doing Jim Sand kind of things. So this is how much we value and love Siakam. We're going to send our practice coach, Jim Sand, to Austria with him, and he is over there with him in Europe right now, rebounding him. That is what we do. Let's see. And also Ron Harper Jr. celebrating somebody's wedding. Precious is in Nigeria coming soon. He's saying, see you soon, Nigeria. He's coming in for his camp very soon. So there's your Raptors Instagram check real quick. Our guys are doing cool things internationally. And I think Jim Sand is with
Pascal in Austria right now. I think that's pretty cool. Let's see, Monique. Important stream today. W stream, Lex, all around. Before you know it, summer is over and the guys travel back in the middle of September. I love that, Monique. Be waiting for your countdown. The superfan Monique Lawrence always counting down to the next Raptors game. That's how you know that's what is in her heart. And what makes her heart beat is when the Raptors are going to play next. And she has got that calendar mark for October 17th, Tuesday, Chicago Bulls at Chicago's United Center. We will be playing the Bulls in the preseason, a confirmed preseason date already, y'all. October 17th is something to look forward to. And Monique will give us that countdown when she knows when the next game will be. She will be counting it down with us every day. I know she will. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching me again today. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I appreciate every one of you. Tomorrow, Thursday Think Tank. Not sure what the subject will be, but I'm sure today felt like a think tank in some ways. But we'll definitely have a cool, more Raptors-related subject for tomorrow. I think the LED courts are a good idea. We'll see how they evolve and how they get implemented into the NBA eventually. I think it's a done deal. They will be. It's just we'll see how it happens and the logical events that lead to it. All right, y'all. Thanks once again, and let's go Raptors! Yeah, baby! Woo!